Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
I know these chairs are kind of weird, but they're the fucking best chairs that I've ever found for sitting for long hours at a time.
I like it.
It's called a Capisco, and is it Fully? What's the name of the company that makes them? They're the shit. The best ergonomic chairs I've ever had. They're the only for podcasting. Because if you think you want to be like comfortable and like a nice one of those cool chairs with the buttons in it, you know, that people would sit and smoke cigars. After a while, your back would hurt. It's like you have to kind of stay upright.
Makes sense.
These are the best.
I like it. The other one was just like so tall.
Yeah, there's some of these. It's weird because they're the same company or they're the same chair, but I think different people made them, and some of them get real low. This one doesn't get very low.
Hag is the main company, I guess.
Oh, so they've changed like twice.
And a few people sell it.
Oh, well, that's the shit.
I guess how it works.
No one's paying me to say that. They're the shit. What's up, Adrienne?
How you doing?
Good to see you.
Should I move this closer?
Yeah, right there's good.
All right.
You want some coffee?
I just had some coffee.
Last night was really fun.
It was really fun. The club's awesome.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited that we got to meet, and I'm really excited that I got to see your stand-up, you know, because Ari Shaffir has been singing your praises
I know.
for so long.
He's the best.
He loves you.
I know. When I first met him, I did not like him. Like, I was like, this guy's a dick.
He's a little misunderstood.
Well,
he can be a dick.
Well, yeah. Even when you text me, I was like, is this Ari playing a joke? Because he's always doing stuff like that to me.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Well, it's because he loves you.
No, absolutely. But I'm always skeptical if something's in his orbit. I'm like,
He is the guy that dosed Bert Kreischer at his house.
Yes.
Dosed him at his house when he was supposed to be hanging out with his family. He gave him Molly.
At least he did it at his house in a safe environment, I guess.
I think Bert had the fucking time of his life. He just doesn't want to admit it.
I could see that.
I think ultimately it was like a really bad thing that Ari did that, but I bet he had a good time.
I'm sure. I mean, yeah, I think it's probably not great for their friendship. But...
It was terrible for their friendship. The wife was furious at him, and rightly so. Rightly so.
Ari does stuff where, like, you're like, hey, that's not cool. Do you know what he did to me? So he got into my ex-fiance's computer, wrote an email from him to me.
Oh, God.
Where it was like, I'm still in love with you. We should get back together.
Oh,
and like,
my God.
I know. And I was like, I had another boyfriend at the time. And I was like, I don't feel like this at all. So I just deleted it. And then Ari later was like, do you check your emails? And I was like, you're a dick.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
What a psycho.
Yeah. I was like, what if I still cared about
What
this
if you
guy
just
like
started
that?
sending pussy pictures?
Oh, my God.
What if
Yeah.
you
I was like, it's on. Come
what
over.
if it was like, it's on, and you started sending the wildest shit that you have on your hard drive?
Oh, my God. That would be terrible.
I know. And then Ari has it?
Well,
They text it to you later?
I think
Good
that he got
Lord.
in his email and then left. Like, that's the thing. I've had my phone open by him, and he'll like write, I love black cock on Twitter. Like, he just does that.
Could you imagine being your ex-fiance and then seeing a response to you in his email?
Yeah.
And then he's reading that and going, what the fuck did I do?
Right.
Like he thinks, oh my God, was I on drugs? Did I black out? I don't remember writing this.
I think he would just, I think at this point, anything that goes crazy, I think is Ari. So I think he would also just be like, who is in my office?
Well, that's the benefit of having someone like Ari. You have plausible deniability
Sure.
on tap.
You're just like,
Fucking Ari.
It's
Ari did
Ari.
it. He's such a psycho.
it's Ari.
God damn it. Damn it, Ari.
He comes across sometimes as a dick because he's probably like autistic, but he is like a good guy.
He's a great guy.
He
I
is.
love that dude. But I don't think he's autistic. I think he just had a hard childhood.
Yeah, but like, I don't think he'll say stuff where you're like, Ari, this is really inappropriate.
He does.
So that's the only thing where I'm like, he might be on the spectrum. Nah. You don't think even like the tail end, like the beginning?
Think he's such a comedian that he has a really hard time interacting with regular people.
Maybe.
I think he's so used to like the fun of chaos. Ari shit in a Tupperware container and brought it to Skankfest.
Yeah.
And then opened it up on stage in a crowded room where people were gagging and throwing up. It was Legions of Skanks, right? It wasn't Skank. Was it Skankfest? Whatever it was. with the Legion of Skanks guys. Ari shit in a Tupperware and brought it to the stage.
Sure, but that's still not as bad as some of the stuff he says.
But it's that's his level of like acceptable behavior. Like to
Yes.
him, that was a thing that you should do.
Right.
Right? So like all this other stuff is just funsies.
That's true.
It's just funsies.
When I was on the road with him one time, he took out one of his bloody ass tampons. And he was showing me, I go, don't touch me with that. And he goes, okay. Like, if you ask him like not to do something, he will respect that. But if you
Yes.
don't, it's
He might
game on.
It might be game on.
yeah, he'll do whatever. But like, if you're like, hey, please don't do that, he's like, all right, I'll respect that because you said that.
I met Ari when he was a door guy at the Comedy Store. We became friends when he was just starting out. I don't think he'd been doing comedy like more than a year.
What did you think of him as a new comic?
He's funny. I knew he was really smart,
Yeah.
and he was just fun to be around. Like, he's a fun kid. He was like, I knew after a while what was going on, but he was like recently divorced from religion.
Right.
So he was like super Orthodox Jew, went to Israel, was studying the Talmud for like 12 hours a day, like wild shit. And then he has this real break from it. And then a few years later, he's hanging out with us smoking weed at the Comedy Store.
I wonder what he was like.
He was great.
No, before, when he was like religious.
What a mind fuck to do to a kid. It's such a mind fuck. Because you're saying you absolutely know that this is how everything went down.
Right.
And there's no way that could be real. Even if the concepts of Christianity or Judaism, even if they're like they're real, that's what God really wants, there's no way whoever wrote that, like what they wrote. There's no way. This is human beings.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Catholic school my whole life, and I just never believed any of that stuff.
I believed in it till
You
I was
did?
6.
Yeah,
In
okay,
first
6.
grade, I had one teacher, Sister Mary Josephine. She was such a cunt.
I bet.
She was so mean. She was so mean that I knew as a little boy that like there's no way this could be connected to God.
No,
I was
they're
like, this
so
is,
mean.
This is an evil lady who would threaten you if you didn't do something. You were going to have to sleep on a nail in the closet. You'd have to stay home. You're never going to get to see your parents again. She would yell stuff like that. It was like she was evil. She tortured kids.
Can you imagine that existing today?
Oh, my God. It probably does. It probably does in some very unusual religious circumstances. But it's just back then. When I was a kid, that was how they taught you in Catholic school, at least that lady. My sister got a great lady, though. My sister got a lady in the same school that wasn't a nun. She was just a regular lady who was Catholic, who was teaching in a Catholic school. It didn't have to be nuns or priests.
Right. Well, when I was in elementary school, it was like some teachers, and then there was some nuns and some priests. So it was a mix.
Yeah. So my sister got lucky, and she loved her teacher. My teacher, she taught me everything I needed to know. I was like...
About religion?
I was like, there's no way... not about the religion, just a possibility that someone like that exists.
Yeah.
Because everyone was nice to me. I was 5, 6 years old, whatever I was. My
Yeah.
parents were nice to me. My grandparents were nice to me. Everyone was nice to me.
Except this
And
lady.
then all of a sudden I'm in this room with this lady who is representing God. And she's fucking evil. She's mean. She wants you to cry. She would like try to get kids to cry.
Yeah.
It was weird because it was like a really good thing. It was like a really good thing because when I was like 5 years old, my parents were breaking up, and I was like, when you're young and you're insecure, you're like, oh my God, like there's no stability in the world, and I started thinking about God, and I started like really getting into God. It's like a 5-year-old.
That's crazy.
It was it was like I was looking for someone.
But it makes sense.
Yeah, you're looking for someone to look after you. Someone who makes sense of this.
Sure.
Because if like the parents in your life, if the chaos in your life, you're like, there's got to be something. Maybe it's God. And then going to that church and going to that Catholic school, I was like, okay, maybe it's God. But these people, this lady is not doing the work of God. Like, there's no way God knows about this. There's no way God's
he's
cool
letting
with
it slide.
this. There's no way God's like, she's ultimately, unless it's to be so fucking mean that you make people think for themselves.
Yeah. We had a priest, maybe Father Joe. I don't know. He came and we were about 7th grade, and people were talking about like if their dogs die and they go to heaven. And he was like, they don't. And we went ballistic.
Oh, my God.
Imagine telling like a 7th grader your dog dies and doesn't go to heaven.
Oh, my God.
We were just like so angry and mad. Like he had to leave the room.
First of all, bitch, how do you know?
They don't know anything.
How
But
do
I'm
you
just saying, it's
know?
like, just be like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's
But
like,
yeah, why wouldn't you say that?
no, he never even was like, well, maybe. He was like, no, they do not go to heaven.
Because then you'd be trapped with this animals have souls too thing, and then you can never eat meat again.
Right. So it's
Those
like, just
cows
say
go to
that-
heaven.
Yeah, they all go to heaven. Just or whatever.
Imagine if you had to go to heaven and confront every chicken you ever ate.
I mean, I would just probably ignore them. Like you do on like trolls on the internet. You're just like, all right, I get it. You're mad. I said
Imagine
something that
in-
pissed you off.
In the next dimension, if reality was flopped and everything that you ate gets to eat you,
I mean, I think you'd just be like, this is my fate. Like, what am I going to do?
it would suck.
It would, but you'd be dead so quick.
It really is crazy if you think about like your whole life, from the time you're a baby till now. How many animals have you eaten?
Probably a lot. And the thing is, I don't feel bad eating the ugly animals. Like chickens are not particularly cute, but like cows are so cute.
They can be very cute.
So are pigs.
Yeah. Pigs can be really cute.
So that's the one thing where you're like, oh, I love all these videos on Instagram, but I'm still going to eat a steak.
Isn't it interesting that wild pigs aren't cute at all?
No.
They're not even a little cute. They're ferocious looking.
Yeah, so those are the ones that you want to eat, the ugly ones.
Yeah, my agent said the same thing to me.
To eat the ugly ones?
Yeah, she says, like, I don't mind if you hunt, but you should hunt pigs because they're ugly.
Not the babies. The babies are so cute.
They are. But, yeah, even wild pig babies are cute. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's that, like, evolution? It's not like eagles care if something's cute. What,
No.
It's like a thinking animal that discerns cuteness and doesn't want to harm cute things.
Sure. Like lions don't care about
Yeah.
hunting something.
But is that for us? It must be for us.
It's just
'Cause
for
it's the only
us.
thing it works on.
Yeah, I think it's just for us.
Like, think about it like a little wolf puppy. They're so adorable.
Cute.
So adorable. And it's adorable to us.
Oh, yeah, those things are gross.
Disgusting. So it's adorable to us, little wolf puppy,
Yeah.
so that we don't kill it so it can grow up to be able to kill us.
Yeah, I
It's a
don't.
trick.
I think that we just like are reasoning and thinking about it, but like there's people that would probably kill it still.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But it's a trick. But it's an interesting one. Because I think it only works on us. I don't think chimps give a fuck about cuteness.
No, but they do love their like offspring. And
Sure,
they do
but all
protect
animals
them.
do.
Yeah.
All animals do.
But it's not because they're cute.
Right, but for us, when we see other things, babies,
Yes.
we think they're cute.
Yes,
Like oh my God, we want to protect it.
otters are really
Yeah,
cute.
puppies. Puppies are the most adorable thing of all time.
They are.
Look at those little guys.
They are cute.
Hey, little wolf puppies.
But I also realize that they would kill me.
They're so different than dogs. It's so interesting. They're so different than dogs. And they look kind of like dogs until you get them around dogs.
Yeah, I mean they're cute, but they're not as cute as like a husky.
I was at a dog park once when a guy brought in a wolf.
Are they illegal?
Yeah, you can have a wolf. You can have like
In
a
a dog
7
park?
Yeah, you can have like a 7/8 timber wolf as a pet. Yeah, I had a friend who had a couple of them, and one of them even got out and killed a bunch of sheep. Like they're wolves, like real wolves.
Yeah, I don't think you should have them
So-
as pets.
I'm at the dog park, and this fucking dude comes in with a wolf, and it was the wildest thing, where every dog was like, "What the fuck? Do you know what that is?" Every dog was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ." They all like slunk down and moved away from it. It was like he was walking through a tide. Like everything,
Yeah.
it pulled back
That's like their Jesus.
in his presence. Well, that's their monster.
Yeah.
'Cause wolves eat dogs.
Was your dog there?
Yes.
Did you take your dog out?
Oh, I got the right the fuck out of
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So I live in the Bronx, and there's always like people have pit bulls and
Yeah.
dogs, and like some of them are really nice, and some of them they just walk off the leash. So this one day I had a boxer, and this pit bull got loose. I was with my ex-boyfriend at the time. He jumped on a car, and I just picked my dog up. I
Oh,
was ready to
Jesus
get.
Christ.
I was just getting ready to get.
He jumped on the car to get away from the dog. And
Yes.
left your puppy.
Yes, but I think that's also maybe culturally, like 'cause he was black, and I think like that's a whole thing where he's just not raised the same with dogs and stuff. I don't know. He just jumped on the car, and I just held my dog, and I was like, I'm ready to get attacked.
Oh my God.
The dog did nothing, but then he showed me how because I was like, I'm scared to walk my dog now. So he showed me how I could like kill a dog, and I would walk around with a knife.
Oh my God. Did you see that? Someone did that to someone.
Welcome back.
In Manhattan.
What?
In Central Park. Someone stabbed, two dogs got in a fight, and the guy stabbed someone else's dog.
I mean, was he killing the dog?
I don't know. I think his dog bit the other dog was what the woman who's, I don't know the details. I probably shouldn't say it. So it's new details. And shocking, deadly stabbing of dog in Central Park. And the woman, like, filmed the guy running away. And she goes, "You killed my dog, you piece of shit." Baffling incident occurred in the area around 106th Street and 5th Avenue, a spot popular with dog walkers. NBC New York spoke to a man who said that he and his wife were walking their 13-year-old German Shepherd Pit Bull mix named Ellie and their other dog Sadie on leashes in the area around 8:30 p.m. The man, who only wished to be identified as Brian, said they walked by a man with 3 pit bulls, at least 2 of which were unleashed.
Fuck that guy. I hate seeing dogs off the leash.
Yeah. One of his dogs tried to bite my little dog, and he tried to tell me that it's okay, and I tried to talk sense into him, Brian told News 4. He and the man started to argue as his dogs attacked Ellie. I kicked one of the dogs off my dog at one point, Brian said, but then he took out a knife and started carving, and my dog growled. He stuck him, and I was helpless at that time. Brian said he took a photo of the man as he walked away below. The couple then took their dog to the veterinarian where Ellie had to be put down. Wow. So that guy with those dogs just stabbed someone's dog because his dog bit the dog.
Okay, that guy would be fucking dead. That's why I can't have a gun, because there's so many people I would kill.
I don't know if those are pit bulls. They said those
They
are
look
pit bulls.
like
French bulldogs. They're small,
Yeah.
but they couldn't.
No, I think they're American bulldogs. My mom has
No,
one.
American bulldogs are actually larger than pit bulls. American bulldogs.
Those
are
dogs
big.
are like this though.
Those look more like they do make these little bullies. You ever seen those bullies?
That's what my mom's
like
dog
miniature
is.
bullies. Yeah.
It's like low to the ground, but like that.
Yeah.
It's jacked.
I think those aren't like the really scary pit bulls. Believe it or not, are not the ones that look like the scary pit bulls. I mean, those are scary too. But the really scary ones are the smaller ones because those are the ones they really raised for dog fighting.
Yeah.
Brian Callen got one of those ones. He had one as a pet, and it was a real problem. And it looked like a regular dog. Like, they don't have big, giant heads, and it only weighed like 35 pounds.
Pocket
That
bully.
little fucker.
That's what my mom
That's
has.
it. So those little things, they're weird fucking breeding choices that people have made to make these little tiny pit bulls, but I don't think those are aggressive.
My
But
mom's dog's not aggressive, but she's like scared of everything. Because another dog got loose and attacked her, so she's like scared now of everything.
God, yeah, that's got to be traumatic to dogs.
But like, if that would drive me nuts if I was that guy, and I would do terrible things to his dogs.
it's just not, it's to him. Fuck, the dogs are just being dogs.
I know, but like, put him on a leash.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
But it's not like, yeah, I know what you're saying.
But yeah, oh yeah, if you could kill him, then do it.
That's the thing about taking dogs in public. Like, you never know. Like, there's this guy that I used to run these trails with, and I think he worked for this lady because I don't think he really had good control of the dogs. And oddly enough, one of the dogs was a golden lab, and he was really aggressive. And he went after my dog and bit my dog. And I had to like kick the dog off him, and it was awful. But I'm like, a golden lab just snapped at the dog. I'm like, and the guy couldn't control him. I'm
I
like,
thought you were talking about this video.
what
I
is
saw
this one?
going on.
Oh, this was
happened in
horrible.
London, where
Yeah, that was
three dogs attacking
horrible.
A woman.
Yeah, the guy didn't have control of his dogs, and they were attacking
That's
this
why your
woman.
dogs need to be on a leash.
I mean, that's just crazy.
You're not in the mountains. There's a guy that used to have 3 German Shepherds. He'd walk them all off the leash in the Bronx.
Right, but why is that dog attacking people? Why is that dog just attacking a lady for no reason? Like, what
Maybe
is
they're
going on
trained?
with those dogs? Yeah, what is going on
Or
there?
if you rescue them and you don't know where they're from,
God damn it, that's scary.
that's very scary.
That's terrifying shit. Oof. Such a fucked up way to go.
Also,
peop-
it's so weird that that guy came into the park with a wolf. It's like, what are you doing?
It was a long time ago. You know, it was real weird. But people have those things. They have those wolf breeds, wolf dogs. This one guy I knew had 3 of them, and he would go over his house. If you made noise, like, yo, they would go,
Oh, yeah, they
would all
howl.
just howl in. They're not dogs. It's so interesting. They like. There's no like telling them what to do. Sit, lay down. Fuck you.
Those dogs should be out in the wild.
Yeah. And this guy had them in a yard.
It's like
It's kind of crazy.
That's not where they should be.
No.
These dogs are wild. They should be out in,
It's also kind of crazy to fix them. You're just cutting off their testosterone supplies. Just get tired.
I bet they're still pretty aggressive.
They're not the same. They're definitely not the same. I mean, I get it that you don't want them to have puppies, but you should just be in control of your dog.
Yeah.
It's such a weird animal, wolves. Because we killed them off, and now we're like, let's bring them back.
And have them in the park with other dogs that have no fighting chance against it if it goes nuts.
Well, that case, that guy, had it supposedly as a pet. I just think people get pets sometimes. It's like you don't have to really know what you're doing to get like
Sure.
a German Shepherd. You can get a police dog, German Shepherd, like a really aggressive, very smart, thinking, like almost like a predator of people.
Yeah.
And you could just get it. Anybody can get it.
I mean, I think in Manhattan had like an alligator.
Oh, yeah.
Like you get these like
All
little
the time.
animals where they're cute and then it like gets to be humongous and you're like, this is a real problem.
I think a dude in the Bronx had a tiger.
Sure. I can see that
In
happening.
his fucking house. This guy had a tiger in his house. Yeah,
I mean-
people are nuts.
Imagine like telling a girl at a club you have a baby tiger. Like even if you don't want to fuck this guy, you're like, I do want to see this baby tiger.
Where was this? This is his alligator found in New York City Lake? Oh, my God.
In Brooklyn.
So what do you think happened there? Do you think that was like a
It was
pet?
probably a pet and it got too big and somebody was like, I don't know what to do with this, and he put it in this park in the water.
That's the story of Florida. Florida's an amazing story. Florida is just overrun with pythons. There's 500,000 pythons in the Everglades. They say that 99% of all of the mammals are gone. Of
That's
everything. Raccoons,
wild.
deer, everything. Rabbits. They're all gone. Foxes, pumas, everything. Everything.
Maybe that's what you need to be hunting then.
Yeah, well, they are doing that. What's crazy is in California, python skin's illegal. So
Is
you
it?
can't, you can't, it's banned. You can't get python in California. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, they're overrun with pythons. Like they literally have wiped out all of the native wildlife. They're eating alligators now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we
425-pound cat tiger living in Harlem apartment.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's part of the story. I mean, imagine showing up to that and you're like, I'm out of here.
Oh, my God.
I'm not getting paid enough for this.
I think they're the most beautiful animals.
They're beautiful, but like, what are you doing in a tiny studio apartment with
No,
a
it's
tiger?
insane. It's an insane person. It's like some dude who met some dude who knows a guy who can get you a tiger.
Of course.
Do you know there's more tigers in Texas in private collections than there are in all of the wild of the world?
Are they just like in their private backyards and stuff?
Tiger World.
I mean, when they attack people, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Why you're caging this animal that should be in the wild?
Yeah. Texas is very strange when it comes to wildlife. You can kind of own anything.
Texas, this is like
Get you
just
a
fucking
zebra.
nuts here. Anything goes.
Get you a zebra, Adrienne.
I want a baby zebra, not when it
Yeah.
gets big. Once it gets big, I'm going to put it in that lake with that alligator. Like, here, fend for yourself.
Yeah, there's apparently like a couple thousand more tigers in Texas than there are in the wild.
Did you ever watch Tiger King?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just
love
like
it.
such trash.
I was
So great.
not so secretly hoping that Trump would pardon him.
Yeah. Do you like this guy has like probably a third level education?
Well,
He's just trying to make money.
he talked those straight guys into fucking him, so respect.
Yeah, but I feel like rich people can get away with that. It's like why
Right.
hot women fuck ugly dudes that are rich. You're like, well,
You
hopefully
think
he'll
that
buy
works
me
with
something.
guys?
Yes, absolutely.
I guess with some guys. But everything, it's like what works on everybody, you know? Because like some things don't work on some people, but they work on other people.
I think money always works on everyone.
Sure, but like some people are really dumb. Like some people,
Yeah.
you can get them with a pretty simple cult. Like,
Oh yeah,
not
anyone
even that good, you
If
know?
you just post on Craigslist that you're starting a new religion,
Yeah,
I've
starting
thought
a
about
religion.
doing it and seeing who would show up.
People would show up,
I know it'd be
loyalists.
crazy.
They would be. I was the first. I was with Adrienne when she became awoken.
In the beginning. That'd be so crazy.
You could start a cult.
I would-
100% you could start a cult.
I would do that and then just start a landscaping business, and that would be what I tell them our religion is. Just cleaning people's yards and stuff.
Oh my God. It's just such a weird thing, cults, because seems to be like a natural pattern of behavior that people have, where they're willing to believe fucking total nonsense, as long as everybody in the group believes total nonsense.
Sure. It's also wanting to like belong to something.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
especially if you feel like an outcast.
Yeah. And there's some that are good at it, like Scientology's good at it.
I think at the root of every cult, there is a guy that wants to fuck everyone. So like that's
Generally.
generally most of those cults start out where like you have to fuck me, and that's how you get like to this higher level. Or
Or the Heaven's Gate guy, you have to cut your balls off. Remember that guy?
I do, but I don't remember. Cutting
Everybody
the
had
balls
to
off.
castrate themselves.
Was he castrated also?
I think he was. He might have done it to himself and got people to do it. It was a weird one. They all wore the same Nikes, and they all
Yes,
killed
okay.
themselves because they thought that the spaceship was coming to take them. They had to kill themselves.
What's crazy is I watched that documentary and I was bored by
dude.
it.
Well, it's weird, right? Because it's like it's so dumb. You're like, who's buying into this? But even something that dumb, there's someone out
black
there that's like,
Nikes.
the fucking Nikes. It's a weird one. Click on that. How it really happened. It's such a strange story. Because like I don't know what the guy's origin was, like how he got all these people. It's not playing.
I just remember watching it and being very bored by it. I was bored by this guy that started a cult and got everyone to kill themselves.
I loved Wild Wild Country. Did you see that one?
Yes. Is that the one where they're going through a drive-through?
That's the one where the Indian guru, he set up shop in this town in Oregon. They took over the whole town.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and they started busting in homeless people so they could vote out everybody. So the homeless people
That's
would
a
now
good
be
angle.
citizens. Oh, it was amazing. But then it was really sad because those homeless people had a sense of purpose for the first time in their life, and some of them were like, "I'm fucking all in. These are my people," and they were fucking doing hard work, and they were really
course.
like they felt. And then at the end, after they voted, like, get the fuck out of here. UFO cults.
UFO cult, apparently.
Well, let me hear him
A minute
talk.
ago when I said that the big surprise could come, that spacecrafts could come in by the thousands, maybe come in shifts.
In March 1996,
That music, I'm out. It's so
Well,
creepy.
that's editorialized, right? That's someone else
Yeah.
putting something. But this is part of some History Channel thing, I think.
Did you hear about the Sanctum cult stuff today with Hunter Biden?
What is that?
I'm obsessed with Hunter
story,
Biden.
Yeah, the story I saw was that the leader of this LA sex club that cost $75,000 a year was kicked out of the club because he shared that Hunter Biden was once a member. And all he shared was like a social media post that said, I kicked him out because he was weird. But then they kicked him out of the club because, like, you're not allowed to talk about the club. It's like Fight Club.
Ooh, Fight Club.
And
I fucked up. I had a chance to get Hunter Biden on the podcast in the
I
very
think you
beginning.
can.
I can't.
Wait for
I
him to get back
tried.
on crack.
I can get him back on crack.
Do it. That's when you get him back.
Yeah, I'll try it for the first time.
Well, I hear my friend did crack, and he's
Smelling
like, it's
salts.
amazing.
Well, it's cocaine. It's freebasing cocaine. Dr. Carl Hart, who's this brilliant guy who's a legitimate academic, but also is a drug user. Mm-hmm. And he's like, there's no difference. It's pharmacologically, it's the same drug. You're freebasing.
I could see that.
Yeah. And it's like the real thing that's different is the policy. Because it's the most racist policy in the history of the drug
absolutely.
war. They're like, if you get busted with cocaine, it's one thing. But if you get busted with crack, you get a crazy sentence.
Yes.
Like way, way, way more.
It's just racist.
Well, it's not just racist. It's like when you really go into like the origins of. You aware of the Freeway Rick Ross story?
No.
Rick Ross, not the rapper, but the real Rick Ross,
Right.
was a drug dealer in South Central LA.
Okay.
And he couldn't even read. And he was making millions and millions of dollars. He was like a star tennis player and figured out how to make money doing it. It's just a smart, smooth dude who knew how to move cocaine. But he didn't know he was moving it for the CIA.
Oh.
He didn't know he was moving it to fund the Contras versus the Sandinistas in Nicaragua.
Interesting.
So this is the whole Oliver North thing. So they lock him up. He learns how to read in jail and becomes a lawyer. And then realizes they got him on 3 strikes, but it can't be 3 strikes in one crime. It has to be 3 different crimes, 3 different arrests.
Right.
So he got out.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
But like, look what they did for him.
But that guy
he
was-
learned to read. He
Right.
became a lawyer. Do you know what I mean? Like, what a fucking great story that is.
He's an awesome guy too. But that's where crack was coming from. I mean, it was our own fucking government.
Oh yeah.
It was rogue. I should be real clear about this. Probably rogue outlaw entities in our own government. It's not like our government approves that.
Didn't Reagan like put crack into the community pretty much?
Reagan did it himself. He
Yeah.
went in the middle of the night like Santa Claus. It's like a little crack for everybody. Well, that the whole fucking the drug war is just bananas when you're actually still selling drugs. Like they call it it's just a war on drug competition is all it is. It's not a drug war. The drugs are making billions of dollars. Like, okay, no more money for drugs. Drugs are now illegal to sell. Like, what are you talking about?
No way.
Look at the amount of money that people make on just drugs that everyone agrees that, listen, I don't take Adderall, but I 100% support your right to take Adderall.
Sure.
I hear it's awesome. And people who take it, they can't shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah, it's like me and my friend used to take Stacker too.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing. We would like do everything in the office. Everyone would love when we took it.
But guess what, kids? That's a drug.
Yeah.
That's a drug.
Absolutely.
I mean, just the fact that you're getting it from your doctor.
I mean, doctors prescribe so much
Yeah,
stuff.
tell the doctor to sell Coke.
Why not? I tried to get a prescription for Xanax, and my doctor looked at me where he was just like, I'm not giving it to you. And I was like, are you serious?
Oh, my God, really?
Yeah, because I wanted it to fly. He's like, I'm not doing it. He's like, they're really cracking down right now, so you can't have any.
Well, the thing about benzodiazepine is it's very difficult to kick. Very difficult. Physiologically. It's
Yeah.
one of the only drugs like alcohol that'll kill you if you just go cold turkey sometimes.
Yeah.
Some people just get wrecked by that stuff. Jordan Peterson got wrecked. Like physically wrecked for like over a year. It took him so long just to build his health back up.
Well, my friend that was doing crack was also doing Xanax.
Oh.
So, and he was like, his doctor just made him go, I guess, cold turkey. But he had been doing so much that when he stopped, he went ballistic.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be horrible. It's supposed
It
to
is
be
horrible.
horrible withdrawals. Especially when people go crazy and they're eating it all day long.
Oh, yeah, he was taking it all day. That was rough for him. That's when he started doing crack with
I
prostitutes.
had a buddy that was a comic and was like just having anxiety attacks. He just couldn't fucking control it and started taking Xanax. And it all went away. And then all of a sudden he was fun again. It was weird. It was like,
Anxiety is terrible.
it's terrible. And I know his health deteriorated after, but he was drinking while he was doing it, which you're not supposed to do, which a lot of people do. This lady said this
Sure.
to me on an airplane. She had a glass of wine. She goes, a glass of wine and a Xanax, and I don't give a fuck about the world.
Yeah. I've taken Xanax. If I went to Australia and I took it and I slept most of the flight.
Yeah.
It just knocks you out.
Yeah, I would imagine. It's a good move for a 16-hour flight. But is the come down bad?
You're exhausted. You're like so tired the rest of that day. You're like you're done. There's nothing you could do. That's why I would only take it if I like was flying.
Right. Yeah, that would make me think that if you took it before you went on stage, that wouldn't be good either.
No, it's like a real downer.
I think he was doing that though.
I'm amazed by people that could like do so much drugs and drink and go on stage.
Well, I wonder though, like how it's interacting with whatever individual's level of anxiety, right? Like we all assume that people have the same anxiety, but my level of anxiety differs throughout the day, and depending on what I'm doing, depending on like my activity level, whether I've exercised, whether I slept well. You know? So I don't have a lot of anxiety, but if someone had a lot of anxiety, like or like a high, I don't even know what that feels like. Like if Xanax is the only thing that takes them out of that, like give them some fucking Xanax.
Absolutely. It's
What
just
is
for
that?
me, it makes me like a zombie. That's why I really can't take it.
I just wish there was something that had that sort of an effect, but wasn't like so ferociously addictive.
I mean,
Probably mushrooms.
I don't know.
I
I'm
bet
scared to
that
do any of those drugs.
microdosing. Scared. Why?
I don't know. I reacted so badly when I did an edible when I was at Moon Tower like last year, and I'd never done it before, and it was like the worst experience.
How many milligrams?
I don't remember. It was like in a bag that they gave you, and my friend was like, she was like, no, it was like from a company though. She was like, this is very
company.
weak. I know, but it wasn't just like some guy off the street handed it to me. So I was like, oh, this seems legitimate. And I took it, and I remember going to sleep and waking up to hearing the ocean. I mean, it was so wild. I thought I was in that movie with Russell Crowe. What's that movie where he's like, he thinks he's in the CIA, but he's just bipolar or schizophrenic?
Oh, yeah.
So the whole time I thought I was like that situation. I mean, it's not good for me. Like my friend came over and I was like, I used the same logic he used where he realized those people never aged. Where I was like, okay, well you're the same now. Like it was so crazy. I can't do drugs.
Those people never aged?
In that movie, he's like, I guess he sees like a little girl and he has this roommate. The Russell Crowe movie.
Oh, the Russell Crowe movie.
Yeah, but he realizes like
the
they're
movie.
not real because 10 years later they're still the same age. And I used that logic to think that like my friend, I was like, well, you're still exactly the same. Like it was just, I went there. It was so crazy.
Whoa.
That's why I was like, I'm not good on drugs.
Well, that's a big dose, it sounds like. I think the problem with those edibles, I used to have a bit about it, is they're not consistent. They're not making them in the same place they make Tylenol. You know,
They should.
Yeah, they should. It should be legal. They should all be legal so we'd know exactly what the fuck you're taking. I mean, how many people have to die of fentanyl before they realize, like, we have to figure out, like, if there's a demand for these drugs, if people want these drugs, maybe it's education, maybe it's counseling, maybe it's drug rehabilitation centers that we need to open everywhere, and then there's a business in that. But you should be allowing people to have access to the actual drug, not coke that you're getting on the street that's cut with fentanyl that's going to kill people.
Sure,
how many people have to fucking die before you realize you're not going to stop people from doing coke with a Just Say No campaign? So what are you going to do? Why don't you let reputable companies sell that and sell pure versions of it and tell them what the fucking dose is it's going to kill you? Let people know what's going on and then make it so that you have to be 21 to buy it and educate people. Like, we're going to open up the country to legal drug sales. Because if you don't, all you're doing is arming the outlaws. You're giving them money. All the outlaws.
And it's
the people
unregulated.
and it's right south across our border. The Mexican cartels are fucking killing it. And they're not killing it because Just Say No worked. They're killing it because we don't have legal drugs.
Yeah.
So they sell illegal drugs. It's fucking bananas that a problem so obvious. It's like this. It's an uncomfortable solution, but you got to rip off the fucking Band-Aid and you got to make everything legal.
Remember that professor that was doing heroin recreationally?
Dr. Carl Hart.
Oh,
same
that's
guy.
the same guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that dude.
That's
He's
so
been on the podcast
crazy.
a few times. Yeah, well, he does it recreationally. Yeah, and he talks about it. He says it's wonderful. He says, I love to just be with my wife and listen to music.
I just feel like once I did that, I'd be like, well, this also seems like a good idea tomorrow. Like, I don't know that
Yeah.
I would stop.
Well,
that's a problem with addiction. Like, it's just
Right.
like, that guy can do it, but like...
Right. Well, one of the things that he talked about that's interesting, he's like, this heroin withdrawal myth. He's like, it's like getting sick. It's like you're sick with a cold for a couple days. He goes, that's what it's like. It's not like you're dying. He goes, it's not that bad. He goes, it's just very exaggerated in media depictions and films, and people are like,
But that sounds awful.
sounds like it
Who
sucks
wants to, like...
have a cold for a few days, but then you're not addicted to heroin anymore.
But then
like-
if you just keep doing heroin, you just keep feeling better.
Well, also, you got to realize, like, what does sick mean? Like, if you're sick and you've been doing heroin a lot, and so you're malnourished and your immune system is dead, and you know you're very little sleep and you're just all fucked up and poor, and then you get withdrawals and you get really sick, that could fucking kill you, depending upon your health.
Depending on how healthy of a heroin person you are.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if he calls in sick and everyone's like, he's doing heroin.
People do heroin recreationally, and they have for a long time. There was this buddy of mine who was a longshoreman in Boston, and he worked with this guy who would buy a bag of heroin at lunch every day, and he would go in his truck and he would shoot up.
That
And
seems
so-
like a lot of heroin.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much
Yeah.
he did at a time, but this guy was functional. He said he would
Okay.
go in his car, he would shoot up. Everybody knew what he was doing. He would go in his car and shoot up, and he would sit in his car for his hour lunch break, and then he'd go back to work. No problems.
That's insane.
Insane.
I mean, with Xanax, I want to fall asleep.
It's a weird thing that I met a guy who was a pool player once. He was like a very prominent like top level pool player where he'd gamble for a lot of money. And we were at a pool hall in White Plains, New York. And this guy, they called him Buffalo Bill was one of his nicknames. Water Dog was another one of his nicknames. And this dude had to do heroin before he played, and everybody knew. And so this guy was gambling with him, and this guy, Water Dog, goes into the bathroom, locks the door. He's in there for like 10 minutes. He comes out, and he just sits on the chair like this, like a billiards chair. He sits like this for like 20 minutes. Just sits there like this. And we were just looking at him. And I was, 23 at the time or something like that. I was like, look at this motherfucker. Look at him. And then he would get up, and it was like he had shark eyes. There was like no one there. There was no one there. And then he would play pool, and he couldn't miss. He couldn't miss. It was insane. It was insane to watch. They playing on this table with these really tight pockets, and they're gambling for a lot of money.
That should
And
be not legal.
He has no
Like
nerves. He has no nerves. He's not feeling any pressure at all. He's just playing perfect. And everybody watches like, holy shit. And it made people want to do heroin.
Not that it shouldn't have been legal, but I'm saying like if you're playing him and you're like against him, I'd be like, he can't do heroin. That just enhances his performance.
You're talking about pool. In the pool world, everybody does drugs.
Really?
There's elite players that are completely clean and sober on a professional level. Like, absolutely. But in like pool hall gambling, drugs were ubiquitous. Drugs were like,
interesting.
Yeah,
I don't
drugs.
know about the
amphetamines were like the choice pill for people when they gambled like 20 hours in a row. They would just take amphetamines and keep gambling.
I just think like I would be scared to do that. Addiction is so rampant in my family. Like my biological father was a drug user. My uncle was a Hell's Angel. He was on tons of drugs and stuff. So I just feel like, I don't know. I have enough issues.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know if drug addiction is, I think some of it's got to be physical. Some of it's got to be genetic. It's got to be. I mean, it just makes sense. People from some parts of the world where they don't have a history of alcohol, they experience alcohol, they have real problems with it. Part of it's got to be genetic. But then part of it's got to be cultural, too. When you're around all these people,
Definitely.
it becomes like learned behavior. It's, release at the end of the day. Give me a fucking beer. And
Yeah.
it's just become something that, it gets very ingrained. And then also the patterns of behavior that come with alcoholism. The fucking up and the life falling apart and the disastrous choices you make.
Driving drunk.
Oh,
just
yeah,
like
all
losing your
that.
family. Like there's
Fights.
so many, yeah.
Yeah, all that. Just, oof. I mean, how many lives have been lost to drugs that you could buy legally? Like booze.
Sure.
Booze has fucked up more people. But I like it.
Yeah, of course.
I like it. I like a little drink every now and then. I don't think it's like, but the idea that we're protecting people by keeping some drugs illegal, I think what we're doing is we're making a nanny state that we can't get out of. And we've gotten ourselves into this box, this nanny state box.
Maybe down the line it will be legal. Who knows?
It's going to be, because it's illegal now in certain states. Like Oregon has essentially decriminalized everything. They've decriminalized cocaine, mushrooms, whatever. Means you're not supposed to sell it. You can't sell it, but you can have it, which is wild.
So where do you get it from?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if they're specific about that, and I don't know if there's like legal distributions. I know they have legal marijuana,
Right.
but that's like 18 states now have legal weed. Legal weed is pretty well accepted as a good thing. And I think even now, there's a lot of right-wing people that smoke weed. And I think that was a big change. Because I think a lot of left-wing people were always associated with marijuana and laziness. And then right-wing people are like, fuck that, fucking potheads. But now a lot of right-wing people, like maybe your dad's got arthritis and he smokes a little weed before he goes to bed. And maybe you have an edible and you really like hanging out with your wife and watching movies. And then, you're like, hey, maybe this pot's not that bad.
I don't know. Don't you feel like a lot of people are doing coke? Like on both sides?
I think so. I mean, I know so. I know a lot of people are doing coke. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I feel like both sides do everything.
Yeah, but I think psychedelics more like, well, not anymore. I used to say psychedelics more likely to be tried by the left, but god damn, there's a lot of soldiers that have had great benefit with psychedelics, and they've shared those experiences with a lot of other soldiers. And I've had quite a few talk about it on this podcast, but one of the things that MAPS is doing is using MDMA for soldiers with PTSD, and that's shown amazing results. So I think the right is opening up their eyes to it more too. It's like it's a quality of life thing that's probably been here forever, and if you believe in God, he probably put all that stuff here for us. It's just managing it correctly. You know, the ones that can be beneficial, like mushrooms, like MDMA, like all these things, they have a positive effect when done correctly with the right person. And,
Sure.
And to deny that is just stupid at this point. And to make them Schedule I drugs in 2023 with Chat GPT and everyone's got 5G, we know what the fuck is going on.
Right.
Like, stop.
But even something like gambling that's legal can still ruin your life.
Fuck yeah, it can. Yeah.
That's
and I
like-
support it.
Yeah, my dad
Gamble
was a
it up.
gambler.
Let's go.
We had nothing. He used to gamble with our lives pretty regularly.
God, isn't that crazy? When I first started playing pool, that's when I first started being around gamblers. I've never been around gamblers as a child. And so I never knew like what that addiction is like to watch it play out.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
My dad was like just emotionally unavailable.
Just always wanted to gamble.
Always wanted to gamble. We used to go to the OTB as kids. Like we went there so often. The lady behind the thing had my school picture up. That's how often we went there. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was a bad gambler. But he also didn't make a lot of money, which is crazy. Right? It's like you can't be a mailman and a gambler.
It gets anybody.
No, I know.
It can get anybody. Did you see Uncut Gems?
No.
It's fucking amazing.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Adam Sandler plays a gambling addict.
Oh, I'll
and
watch
you
it.
will get such anxiety while you're watching. You'll be like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's so good. Adam Sandler's so good in it. And it's a dramatic role. It's not a comedy at all. Adam Sandler killed it. It's a great movie.
Is he like a rich gambler in it?
He's a jeweler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's great. It's great. It's great. But those guys are real. I know those guys. I knew a lot of those guys. They would come into the pool hall and just start talking about the loss and the this, and I'm going to get it back, and the Bulls are down by 6, and they were just in it all the time. I was like, this is crazy.
My dad's thing was like OTB and gambling and the Meadowlands and any of that stuff. I mean, he also, I think, gambled on football and stuff, but mostly like the horses.
Yeah, the horses are crazy.
But he liked Atlantic City too, stuff like that.
Dog races.
I don't know if he did that, but I'm sure he would. I feel like he'd gamble on anything.
I had a friend of mine who adopted a greyhound.
Oh, one of the ones that was like used to race.
And I had an apartment at the time, but I was going to get one too. They were so cool. They're so sleek. They're so
Yeah. My friend was trying to walk it. The leashes come off their head, he said.
Yeah. Well, not only that, when my friend took his out, he didn't realize. First of all, they're so fast.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
They're very fast.
When they go, like, you are not catching
Nope.
them. And when he saw a cat, he just went after it. And so he was off leash in this like empty park. He thought he'd be fine. And the fucking greyhound just went for that cat.
Well, he's really free now.
Yeah. It's like he didn't realize, like, oh, they're not cool with animals. Like, that's the whole thing about racing is they're chasing a rabbit.
Right.
If they see an animal, they fucking sprint towards it.
Yeah, you can't deprogram that.
No. So he realized, like, oh my God, I got to be really careful with this thing. Can't just like ever let it go without a leash.
You ever see the little ones, the little greyhounds?
No.
They have miniature greyhounds.
Miniature greyhounds?
Yeah.
Oh.
They're cute.
Let me see, Jamie.
They're cute. They're like just big gray. They have the same thing.
You know what the weirdest dog is?
Which one?
A whippet with a myostatin inhibitor.
I don't even know what that is.
A whippet is this cute dog. Oh, look at the
They're
little
cute.
cutie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's adorable. That looks like a little cuddle dog.
They're fast.
Wow, look at them go. Look how they cross their legs like
Yeah.
that. They just get so much fucking torque.
They have so much energy.
So there's a dog called a whippet, and every now and then they have a genetic anomaly. It's a myostatin inhibitor, and it causes them their uncontrollable growth of muscles.
What do they look like?
Freaks. They don't even look like they're real. They look like a comic superhero, like if you had injected a comic book superhero dog with like Hulk serum. It just went.
Are they fighting those things?
No. Look, that's what it looks like.
Oh, gross.
Isn't that crazy? Look how jacked he is.
That's like natural?
Yeah, it's just a natural genetic anomaly.
But like, why wouldn't you fight that? That thing is
Because
huge.
they're nice. They
No,
don't
but I'm
want to
saying,
fight.
no, I know, but they're like teaching other dogs to fight. I'm surprised they don't use these guys.
Well, it's not really as much about the strength of your like all those extra big muscles. Those are going to like cause you to get tired quicker.
Oh.
And then on top of that, it's really the bite of the jaw.
That's true.
The strength of the bite, and then also the game instinct. So some dogs, when they get hurt, they want to get out of there, and pit bulls don't care about that.
Right.
And that's bred into them. So when a dog would cower away, they wouldn't allow that dog to breed. And in a lot of places, they'd kill the dog. That was the whole thing. Whenever they catch dog fighting, the horrible thing is like what they do to the dogs who lose. They don't
so
let
sad.
because they don't want them to breed. Like if a dog quits, they just kill that dog.
I remember when everything was going on with Michael Vick, and I didn't
Yeah.
know what he looked like, and I just seen this guy on the front of the newspaper. I go, "Who's this guy? He's hot." And someone was like, "That's Michael Vick," and I was like, "Oh, that hurts so bad."
Yeah, he was involved in that stuff. I knew a dude at one point in time. He had like 13 dogs in his yard in, I think he was in Oklahoma. And my friend was like, "I think he really likes dogs." I go, "Nah." I go, "He's got 13 pit bulls on chains in his yard." I go, "That guy fights dogs."
Yeah, that's gross. I hate
Yeah.
that.
He was a dog fighting gambling guy, so he was breeding dogs for dog fights. That's still going on right now in this
course,
country.
yeah.
Underground dog fights. Whew,
I can't see that.
Ooh.
Like nothing makes me more upset than that. I
that is
think.
horrible. What's really fucked up is the dogs are wagging their tails.
Well, because they think that they're doing good.
Yeah, they enjoy that fight. God damn it, so awful. It's just so crazy that that's going on right now.
So much stuff is going on right now.
Yeah.
Someone's getting sex trafficked right now.
Right now, right across the border.
Yeah. Whenever I go to the airport and they have those signs in the bathroom, like if you're being sex trafficked, I'm like, you think they're letting them go to the bathroom?
Oh, right. Fuck. It's just so hard to believe that some people are that evil.
Money makes people do crazy stuff, and I think your circumstances too. If you don't have money and you're like, this is something I could do, it's still shitty, but I think some people are like, I have no other choice.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it right.
They have no other choice but to sex traffic. Can't you sell stuff?
Yeah, they're selling the women.
I think it's the amount of money too.
Yes, I think if you're selling, knives door to door, you're not making as much. He's like, I tried doing this for a year. I wasn't making a lot of money.
Knives door to door. Imagine having enthusiasm for that job.
No.
Fuck. This is how you have to feed yourself. Sell knives.
I remember when I first started doing stand-up, I would bark for stage time, which is basically like, hey, do you want to come to a comedy show? And like, I was so bad at it because people would just be like, no. And I'd be like, all right. I'm like, I get it. This is so, I felt so dumb doing it.
Did you develop strategies on like how to talk to people?
No.
No.
I just hated it. It's weird to just be on the street as a salesman and be like, hey, come to this show. And
I think that's only a New York City thing.
it might be.
Have you seen it before?
I've
Where?
seen it here on 6th Street. And
Oh, in Austin?
for other things too. They do
For
it here.
stand-up shows?
For stand-up, yes, and I've seen it for other shows here too.
No shit.
For not shows.
I wonder if
even,
they
but,
got it from New York. I wonder.
I don't know. I haven't paid attention.
mean,
I'd always heard of it
But
primarily as a New York thing. I knew a lot of New York guys used to do that in the early days.
Yeah, and especially in Manhattan, everyone's walking, so you can just
Yeah.
catch people like that.
Yeah.
But I was not good at it at all.
Manhattan's an interesting place for comedy, because there's so many clubs.
So many clubs, even so many like good bar shows and like lounges, so you can get a lot of stage time.
Yeah. And there's a lot of comics there, too.
There's so many comics. And a lot of people kind of sprung up after the pandemic, too. Like a lot of people that had like big social media presence, and then they just kind of switched into stand-up. Like if you're just doing funny videos.
Right.
So I think there's more people like that, too, doing stand-up.
Well, if your job got taken away from you during the pandemic, I would imagine that would be a good time to try stand-up. If you'd always wanted to
Sure,
do
while
it.
you're getting money from the government, of course.
How many open mic nights do they have? They have a lot of open mic nights in New
There's
York?
mics every night.
Really?
You can do probably like 6 a night if you like set it up right. You could do a ton of mics.
Wow.
But they're expensive.
What do you mean?
You gotta pay. You gotta pay
What?
like $5 or buy a drink or because like what are they getting out of it if you don't do that? What is like this bar getting
You
out
have
of
to
it or something?
pay to do stand-up?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you're doing it for other comics. So you're not doing it for like audience usually.
Oh my
Sometimes,
God.
but most of the time. And people still don't quit.
Wow.
You think
So
it would weed them out?
what kind of an audience are you talking about? Like how many people are supposed to be there?
I mean, I haven't done it in a long time, but when I was doing it, say there's 15 comics on the mic, you're doing it for those 15 people. And if
That's
it's a
it.
random bar, maybe some people will come in off the street or like at the bar. But yeah, you're doing it for comics.
So you're paying to do comedy to your peers.
Yes.
Wow. Why am I surprised by that?
I don't know. But that doesn't. Never.
What? Go ahead.
It sounds a lot like that. Why not just go to stand-up school then, or classes or whatever? You know,
Well,
paying for.
I think it is.
time,
It is stand-up school.
but it's like there's no teacher.
Right. But it is stand-up school. It's just
Yeah.
like you're on a path.
Yeah, I mean, I know in other places, like my friend had come from Seattle and was doing stand up. She said, like, in Seattle, there's an actual audience. Like, you know, there might be 100 people, so it's a show.
Yeah.
But in New York, that's not, it's a lot of comics in the audience. Comics who are like looking at their own notes and not necessarily paying attention.
Do any of the good clubs have open mics? Like, does the Cellar have an open mic night?
No. I know the Stand has an open mic night and maybe New York Comedy Club.
I think you kind of have to have an open mic night.
The Cellar doesn't.
It seems like it would be better if they did. I know it wouldn't be better financially. You know, it's always
No, but if you did it during the day when you're not having shows anyway.
Yeah. It's just people need places to go up, and it's like if your growth process is dependent upon you doing stand up in front of 15 comics.
Well, that's why, you know, you start barking, or I would intern for like 10 hours on a Friday night seating the customers and then like get a 5-minute spot.
You had an intern?
Yeah, I did wild stuff. Like, that's how I came up doing stand up because I was like, the open mics are just like other new comics. So
You would intern, meaning you'd work for free.
I'd work for
So
free.
that you could do a 5-minute set.
And a lot of times that set's going to get canceled.
So you'd work for free.
Work for
and then
free.
never get compensated.
No,
set.
you either sometimes got a spot or sometimes didn't.
Wow. So you'd work for free for 10 hours
Yeah,
for a 5-minute spot.
that may not happen.
Well, that will fucking weed out the weak.
Yeah, but like not like my family life was so dysfunctional that seemed normal. I was like, this seems like okay, this seems average to me. Like,
Just used to disappointment.
yeah, you're just used to it. You're like, this seems average. This seems like what I've been dealing with.
Wow. Well, you found your tribe.
I found my tribe,
Yeah.
wild tribe.
It's just so interesting when you meet someone like Ari. Like when I met him at the very beginning and to see him now, it's funny. It's fascinating watching these broken toys meander their way through our society.
It's funny. Me and him were talking last night at your club, and he was just talking about like I guess dating people and stuff. And he's like, "Well, you and I are broken." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Adrienne." It's like nobody's going. They want to date somebody like you. He's like, "You need a lot of time to yourself." And I was like, "Oh, he's not wrong." And he's the same way too. Like he was telling me about like this couple he had met that they're married 40 years, but they live in different houses. And he's like, they have a great relationship. They don't fight about like the little things that a lot of people do when you live together. And he's like, they have a great relationship. And I was like, that's not the worst idea.
It's not the worst idea. The idea that you have to be in the same house together, it's like, says who? Like
Yeah.
people like a little space.
Yeah, I mean, at one point I had a 2-bedroom apartment. Me and my ex-boyfriend slept separately. I mean, we also had a terrible relationship, but like we had our own bedrooms. Like I wouldn't be opposed to that.
It doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world. But whenever you see a couple where they don't sleep in the same bed anymore, you're like, oh, sad.
I know we all judge them, but I'm like, they're sleeping great.
That's Mark's room over there. I sleep over here.
I know, but if you say it like that's his room, this is
Yeah.
my room, I think you got to figure out how we were saying it.
Yeah. And then also some people like to sleep in the room really fucking cold. And that shit's annoying if you don't like that.
I like a fan all year round. I like the noise.
The noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about like static noise that does help you sleep.
Yeah. I just like it. I like the sound of an air conditioner, like in the summer.
I slept at this house in Malibu once by the ocean. And we rented it out for a couple months. And when you're in bed and you just hear the shh.
That sounds like really relaxing.
It is. It's weird. It's like hypnotic.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. You're laying down at the base of just insane force of nature. This immense body of water, and you've got the audacity to
live
sleep
right close
at the
to it.
edges. At the edges where this impossible amount of water laps up. That's where you want to put your house.
I've had nightmares about like just a tsunami, just like engulfing my house.
I'd loved being at that place, but it was very illuminating. It's very illuminating why rich people want to live like right on the water in Malibu. Because I was like, why do they want to live right next to each other like that? That's crazy. And then you like rent a house there, and you're like, oh, I get it. This is like magic. There's something magic about the water
I
being
would
right in
love to
front
live
of you.
on a beach.
It's magic. It's like it gives you magic energy. It's crazy. There's something about it, like being right there. It's like, wow, it feels like I'm on a drug.
And it's so calming.
So calming. But at nighttime, it's terrifying. The same water that looks so inviting in the daytime, it's blue and you see the seagulls and it's beautiful. At nighttime, it becomes an angry monster that can swallow civilization. Just dark black. You don't know what, you can't see anything. You don't know what it's an immense thing. And at any point in time, the earth could just a little shift and then a fucking big one comes in. And then just all the way to Arizona. Just all the way to Arizona.
I think anything at night is a lot scarier.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'll come home 3 o'clock at night and I'll have to park 2 blocks away. And I'm just like, I have like, pepper spray in my hand and I have the whole thing.
Yeah.
Whereas during the day, it's like just different.
I know. Some things are really scary, but only in certain circumstances. Like babies are never scary. But if you were in a moonlit forest and you're walking through the forest, you saw a naked baby just staring at you by itself, you would shit your pants.
I would definitely not help it.
If you saw a baby just standing upright, just looking at you naked, in
Yeah.
a moonlit forest, in the middle of nowhere, you had to hike in, and you see a naked baby, you're like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. First, I'd be like, where's this kid's parents?
Right, for sure. For
Why is
sure
he-
you'd be aware of this kid's parents, but you'd also be like, why is there a naked baby staring at me like a grown person?
It's got to be evil.
Right.
Anything at night like that, it's evil.
You'd think it's a demon.
And during the
disguised as a
day, you're like,
baby.
look at this baby, it's standing.
If I was a demon, I would disguise myself as a baby. It's a good move. Everybody thinks you're cute.
Or a cute dog.
Or a cute dog. Yeah.
Definitely not that whippet.
Yeah. They were kind of cute. They still had a cute face. They didn't have a mean, like, pit bull looking face. They had a
Yeah, I
cute
didn't
whippet
love.
face.
I would pick something else over it.
They have cows like that, too.
Really?
Yeah.
When not all jacked, they look like
Yeah, they're cute.
greyhounds.
Yeah, they do. Whippets are really
Wait,
fast, too. That's
How
what they
come
look like
that looks
normal.
like a greyhound.
Yeah, real similar.
So what is the
Little
difference?
cutie. Look at that little cutie. It's this myostatin inhibitor gene. This gene is fucked up on some of them. It's related to the greyhound.
It makes sense. It looks a lot like
And
it.
apart from its smaller size, closely resembles it. Sometimes described as the poor man's greyhound. Yeah, they're fast little fuckers. What is that myostatin gene? Like, what causes that? Because it happens in cows too. They've had it in dairy cows. It's crazy. Like you see a cow just fucking super
So
Hulk.
if you drink that milk, are you gonna get
No,
ripped from
no, it's a gene thing.
Yeah, it's an inherited muscular disorder. that
Kids
they
have had it
to deal
too.
with.
Human kids
Yeah.
have gotten it.
Really?
Yeah, what's crazy? You see like a baby that looks like a bodybuilder. It's weird.
It's a deficiency.
Deficiency. Yeah, it's a myostatin inhibitor. Myostatin deficiency whippet type is an inherited muscular disorder affecting whippets. Dogs that inherit 2 copies of the mutation associated with myostatin deficiency whippet type have broad chests and overly developed muscles, especially of the neck and legs, as well as an overbite. See if you can find that in cows. Myostatin, just write myostatin cows. Yeah, so look at that cow. Look at the size of that dairy cow. That's a girl. Look how jacked she is.
I wonder if that's more attractive to the bulls.
I wonder, right?
Are they like that one's
bulls that are
hot?
like a guy who's into CrossFit chicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that. Isn't that wild? Look at the size of that goddamn thing.
Yeah. it's
Born
huge.
without the protein myostatin. Yeah. So myostatin, I guess, is what regulates muscle growth. Or it has
And if
something
you don't
to do
have
with
it,
yeah.
it's not regulated.
That's why they were experimenting with that with human beings too. And I know, I'm sure, like Eastern Bloc countries are doing that for the Olympics and shit like that. I would imagine. But yeah, they did it to mice. Look at the musculature on these mice.
It's crazy.
What's crazy is they just skin these mice, and we don't give a fuck.
If I
'cause
seen
they're
one of
mice.
those in my house, I'd move out.
Look at the fucking back on that dude. What they've done it, but like people have been born with it too. I know that there was like a German boy that was born with it. He was fucking jacked, like a little kid.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So like, how's that kid gonna play sports? Like, what's gonna happen? That's not fair. It's like you're playing sports with the Hulk.
I mean,
We'll find out in like 15 years.
yeah. I
Like
guess
kid's
we
like
will.
the greatest running back of all time. Like nobody
What if
can
he's like,
stop him.
I just like playing chess. I really don't want to be.
Right.
I don't want to be on the football team.
He's like the Hulk playing chess. Yeah. Yeah, maybe he rebels because everybody wants him to get into physical pursuits. And he's like,
He's
fuck
like-
you. Yeah, look at that kid. Not nuts. Vietnamese boy. So he's got it. That dude's going to be popular in high school.
That is crazy.
Nuts. Isn't that nuts? Imagine going to school with that kid. You'd be so jealous. Like, God damn it.
Wouldn't you love it if he's your brother though, and anyone picks on you?
Unless your brother wants you to fucking eat shit.
Well, that's true. He makes you eat shit, but he also sticks up for you at school.
Yeah, if he's a good brother. But if your brother's mean and he's got that, you're fucked.
I feel like you torture your brother or sister, but you don't let somebody else do it.
I know guys that had terrible brothers who beat them up all their life.
But do they let other people also beat them up?
If someone's beating you up, but they protect you from being occasionally beaten up by others,
It's the price you pay.
is that I'm not willing to make that. You have to sleep in the same fucking house as that asshole. Who
Yeah, but your
beats you up all
parents
the time.
hopefully are there sometimes, and they're stopping it sometimes.
Oh, now you're
He's
unrealistic.
teaching. He's
It
going to
depends
make
on
a
the
fighter.
parents. Yeah, you do make fighters. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of the guys that I'm talking about are fighters. They were just really beaten up by their brothers. And they're the scariest guys because they're not afraid to fight because they fought their whole life.
And it doesn't matter if they're little either.
Mm-hmm.
They're scrappy.
Yeah, one of the best guys ever in the UFC, Matt Hughes, former welterweight champion, had a brother who was his twin. And they were both like elite wrestlers and they both just beat the fuck out of each other. And it led to him becoming the UFC welterweight champion of the world and one of the
See?
greatest of all time. I mean, that is...
It's just like the guy that went to prison
It
and
can
became a
happen
lawyer.
that way. Yeah.
A negative turned into a positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see it that way. I knew another dude, though. He got beat up by his brother, and it just destroyed his confidence his whole life. His whole life. I became friends with him, like, in my 20s, and
That sucks.
it was a bummer, man. He could just, like, not get past it. He couldn't, I wonder if he had never done MDMA. I hadn't either at the time. I wonder if that would have helped him in any way to just recognize what the root of it was, but it just, like, really fucked with his confidence. He would get, like, really close to getting good at stuff, but he almost had, like, this self-defense, self-sabotage thing that would kick in because everybody had already always taken things from him. Like, it had
okay.
always been, like, he thought things were going to go well, and his brother just fucked it up and beat him up or took things from him, humiliated him. And so he never felt, like, real success. So he was always scared to like, progress in life. So he'd always self-sabotage his life.
Because he just thought everything
Yeah.
was going to turn to shit.
But he was a good guy and a smart guy and just trapped by this childhood, repeated beatings that he got.
All right,
Yeah.
Joe. Well, maybe it's not great always. Maybe it's not always going to turn out well.
Sometimes it's good, though. Sometimes it's good. If the brother's a good guy, if you're both good people, like, brothers fight and they make up and they apologize.
Sure.
Well, just like friends do. Friends fight and make up something when you're young.
Me and my sister would fight a lot. When
Fist
we were
fight?
kids. Yeah.
Whoa.
We were 3 years apart. I remember my mom was like still hitting me until I was like about 16. And then at one point I was like, hey, I'm going to hit you back. And then she stopped. Because at some point you become almost like,
Right.
Yeah, but that's
Yikes.
kind of how like we grew up. Like my mom got into a fist fight at my sister's kindergarten graduation. Like, I'm like, you're fighting over fucking kindergartners? No one cares.
my
They've
God.
accomplished nothing.
Oh my God. I watched a shooting over a high school football game.
Oh my God, I saw that too. Oh, that was terrible.
Oh, so horrible. So sad. Just such a fucking, just a terrible thing where just people with their kids and emotions and sports, people get so nutty with their kids with sports. You know, am big on like, saying you did a great job and cheering and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but I would never yell about the other team. And some
No.
parents are like, "What about him? What about offense? What about what about that foul? What about that foul? He's a cheater. He's a cheater." Yelling like that's a 6-year-old. Like, you
Yeah.
out of your fucking mind? Like, let him play. It's his play. You should clap when they do a good job. You should say, "Was it
Yeah.
fun? Did you enjoy it? What was it hard? Was it hard to make that goal?" Like, talk to them, but don't get too goddamn emotionally invested in a fucking game your kid's in. Like, cheer, be enthusiastic for them, but fuck, people get so hyped. That's a bad call, and they jump up, and next thing you know, gunshots. Fuck.
That's crazy. Now you've really ended the game. There's no way to even recover from this right now.
You've ended your whole life.
You've ended your whole life.
Your
but, like,
whole life
the game's
is
also
fucked.
done. I think too sometimes like parents also think they can push their kids to be like great athletes and then they'll be famous. So
Yeah. Well, there's also like your kid's gonna do the thing that you didn't do.
right.
Yeah, that you wanted to do, but you didn't do it.
What's interesting is my mom kind of got me into stand up because she did stand up and then she quit. And then she got me into it. And then when she saw I was doing some stuff, she was like, I'm going to go back into it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is she doing it now?
She does. She does a lot of urban rooms.
Really?
Yeah.
Is she good?
She's funny. I mean, like, we're a little bit different, but, like, she still has that same dark sense of humor, but she doesn't really do those jokes. Like, sometimes she'll think of something and she's like, you could do this. Like, one time we were clothes shopping and she'll always say something like, if she'll take 2 larges and she's like, well, one large might be bigger than the other because the kids that are making them, maybe one of the kids was tired. Like, so she'll say stuff like that. And she's like, I can't say that on stage, but you should. So she'll do stuff like that. My whole family was funny, though, growing up.
So was that just when did you first think about doing stand-up?
I was probably like in my early 20s. Like, I always wanted to be on SNL. I never really wanted to do stand-up comedy. I wanted to be on SNL. And then my mom was like, well, if you want to be on SNL, you have to, like, do stand-up. So then I just started doing stand-up, and then I started liking it. But, like, I didn't want to be a stand-up comic as a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it like? Who was the people on SNL? Like, what era was this?
Will Ferrell, Chris Farley, those guys. Like, that was the people that I kind of grew up with and loved.
Yeah.
Molly Shannon, Sherry O'Terry, like that whole crew.
Yeah, that was a great crew.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I was like, oh, I want to do that. And she was
Yeah.
like, well, you have to do stand-up. And I had zero interest in doing it.
Had you done any drama or anything in school?
We did, like, plays as kids. I was, like, in The Sound of Music, I played that lady.
Joe, a deer,
yes.
a female
Yeah.
deer. That's
so, like, I
awesome.
did stuff like that. But I don't know. I was always kind of like a class clown as a kid.
Oh.
So then I wanted to do that. And now I'm, like, not really the same as that. It's weird.
Because you get it all out on stage?
No, but I'm just saying I was, like, a class clown, but I was also, like, loud and, like, boisterous, where I'm not that same person anymore. Or I don't think I am, anyway.
What calmed it?
I don't know. I think just depression. I don't know. I think as a kid, even though my life looking back was not ideal, I still felt really happy. Like, I didn't realize, like, all the issues as a kid, really. So, I don't know.
And then where'd you start out?
Oh, New York City. I'm from New York.
Right.
I've lived in the Bronx my whole life. So I started in New York. So it's also weird, too, because you're, like, starting in a place where people don't move until they're really good. So I started in New York and just being shitty.
Where'd you start at a bar? Where'd you start?
The first place I went to was in Brooklyn. It was I guess an open mic. It was in like a big Italian restaurant. There were 4 people there.
What year was this?
2004.
Wow.
My mom was there. My mom went on. She did well. And then I went up, and I was like so high energy because I was so nervous. And I remember one of my jokes was about like I was working in the South Bronx as a crimes victims advocate at the time, and I got pulled over for not wearing a seatbelt while someone was selling drugs right near me, and I was like, just the lunacy of it. Where I was like, why am I getting? This guy's clearly selling drugs to somebody. That was like one of my first jokes, something like that.
And then when you got off stage, did you think this is something I'm gonna do more of? Were you?
Yeah, I think because that show went well, even though there were 4 people, I was like, I'm going to keep doing this.
That show went well, and there's 4 people.
There were 4
Isn't that
people at it.
wild?
And it was in a huge Italian restaurant that was like closing. Like they were like going out of business. So there was nobody there.
Wow. And so then, when was the next one?
I didn't wait that long. Maybe a couple days later. I remember like driving into Manhattan and going to do this open mic called Collective Unconscious, and it's like wild. Like there was a guy there at one point that had like elephantitis, so he would go on stage naked, and his balls were humongous, and he had like this tiny dick, and he was making people uncomfortable because he was like naked the whole show, like sitting in the audience, and people were like, "You got to wear clothes until you get on stage." And he was like, all right. But, like, he would just be sitting there, like, his bare ass is on the chair. And you're just, right. So people were like, hey, can you put your
What
clothes
if
on?
I drop a chip?
Yeah, can you just wear your clothes until you're on stage doing that?
God.
But that was, like, a weird collection of people.
Yeah, I would imagine a guy that would fit in there.
Just everything. Like,
Where the only requirement would be just wear your clothes until you get on stage.
And not at first. They let him do that until he was creepy. So, like, if he didn't act like a creepster, he could have just been naked the whole time.
Act like a creepster.
Yeah, but like they were okay with it at first. They were like, all right. And it's not like he did anything great on stage. It was just seeing his huge balls, which is nuts. I don't know how you're
big?
like, elephantitis, they're like this big. They're huge.
So like as big as a head.
Maybe like half of that. But
Half
like,
a head?
Half a head for one, though. And so like, yeah, maybe that whole thing.
Jesus.
And then like you can't even see the dick.
Well, he wants you to feel bad for him.
I didn't even feel bad. I was just like, gross. Like I don't really care about your fucking big balls.
Did you find out about the different mics from your mom?
No, I went on to like there was a couple of websites you could go on to where they'd have a bunch of different open mics and you could do a couple. And I remember it was a lottery. So if there's 30 people and you get picked first, you could pick where on the lineup you want to go. And I would just pick like 30 because I was so nervous. I'd just stay there for hours.
Wow.
Yeah. It's an interesting group of people, though. And then sometimes my mom would come with me, and at that time I was dating a guy who would also come, so the 3 of us would go. Yeah. Interesting.
Were they encouraging?
Yeah. Like, you mean my mom?
Yeah. And the guy you're dating?
Yeah. I mean, me and him met. We were both brand new. And then my mom was encouraging because I think she was just like, well, maybe you'll hit it and you'll help me. And I was like, it should be the other way around.
It's interesting the people that you meet when you're doing open mics. It's a fascinating introduction to like this weird world
Of
weirdos and desperation and mental illness and
mental illness
a lot
runs
of mental
rampant.
illness,
Yes.
like really nutty people.
Yeah. And you could do anything there. So you could not only do comedy, you could do like poetry, you could
Yeah.
sing. So it was like a variety open mic kind of.
Wow. And you can get upstairs and show your balls.
Yeah. That guy was doing
Did anybody
that.
ever try to do that had regular balls after that? Because imagine if they found out there was a place you could just get naked in front of people and they had to look at you.
I mean, not while I was there. I never seen anyone that was like following him with like regular balls. They're like, here's the big ball guy and now the small ball guy.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's what I'm asking. Like, once a precedent is set that you could be on stage naked, like, is it only if you look weird?
I think they would let you do whatever you wanted there as long as it wasn't like creeping people out. Like, they'd probably let you go on stage and spread your ass cheeks and stuff in it. Like, I think they would be open to whatever you wanted to do, but you had to try. You could set a precedent every time, you know?
Thank God for people like that running those kind of establishments.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And, there was a lot of, like, my mom would come sometimes. She'd be like, that guy's really talented, but he would just be like an alcoholic. She'd be like, he's not going to go anywhere. And I never seen him after that. But like, yeah, a lot of people in comedy, it's not the funniest people that make it.
Right. Yeah. I remember a lot of people that were really talented in the early days. I'm like, why is this guy not making it? And then there was a lot of people that were really talented, and then they were on their way to making it. Like they were doing well and headlining, and then they just fell apart.
Like something in their life happened, or like
Yeah, schizophrenia. Like there's that with some of them, or some other sort of mental disease.
yeah.
Sometimes people crack. There's a lot of pressure involved. I mean, just think of it, just the pressure of constantly performing, doing sets, writing new material, having to sell tickets, doing radio.
Sure, yeah.
There's a lot of stress in that. And then I think for some people, when things start getting more and more hectic, whatever problems that and as you get older too, like people that are like tend to have mental illnesses, they exacerbate. They get worse rather when they get older.
I could see that, especially if it's not treated.
Yeah. So a lot of these people, like, you would meet them, and then, you did open mics together. Like you were in the trenches together, starting out, and then you see them like 20 years later, and it didn't work. Like they see them at an open mic night again, and they're still doing kind of the same material.
I've seen that too. People that were really talented and they just, lost it to drugs or alcohol, or and you're like, oh, that's a shame because that person definitely could have went far.
How many people out of the starting class of you where you were at, where the people you remember in the early days, are still around?
A bunch. I mean, I don't know. I guess I went to a lot of different open mics and shows, but there's a lot of people I kind of started with, I guess. I don't know. I guess I remember like I've also watched people quit, and I've seen the moment they've quit. Like I remember being at a show, and this guy was like humping the stool, and this other guy couldn't get on the show, and he saw that, and he's like, I can't believe I can't get on this show, and then he quit. That was it. He's like, they're letting this guy hump a stool. And then that guy, who I thought would have went far, because he was talented. I mean, that humping the stool wasn't great, but like he was talented, and then like all the clubs he worked at closed, and he quit. Like he didn't just go to another club. He just was like, all right, I'm going to sell real estate.
Yeah. You have to be really mentally ill to stay the path.
Absolutely. That's why I think I did all that stuff and just thought it was normal. Like I didn't think like I shouldn't be treated like this.
Yeah, I didn't have a path that was nearly as hard. I was really lucky that in Boston in the 1980s, there was a lot of open mic nights at legitimate clubs. Mm-hmm. So I started at Stitches, which was a legitimate club in Boston. It was a great club. And on the open mic nights, not only was it an open mic night, but it was hosted by a professional, this guy George McDonald, and then a lot of really good professionals from town would stop in. So you get to see people that were just so much better than you. You get to see like these brilliant comedians. And so it was a real good scene for development because all the clubs had an open mic night. Every club had an open mic night.
Was there audience or it was just...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you would go to an open mic. Like when I went to an open mic night, there was like 50 people in the crowd.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot better.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good because, first of all, they called it Comedy Hell. It was George McDonald, who was a known stand-up in Boston, so he was like headlining all over the place. Anyway, so people knew who he was, and then he would go on, and he was like a real veteran. He'd been doing comedy forever, and he was one of the guys that came up through the Ding Ho and that whole When Stand-Up Stood Out documentary. Have you ever seen that? Mm-hmm. Amazing.
That was really good.
That was all about those guys.
Right.
And so you could always get people that would go because he would always be funny anyway. It's only like fucking $5 to get in or something like that, and you go and have a couple of drinks, and hopefully somebody funny will come by. And you, as an open micer, got to go on stage in that environment. It was incredible. It was amazing.
So did you meet a lot of comics that like took you on the road?
No. Mostly what happened was I did well enough in open mics that one guy took me on the road. That was actually George's brother, Warren McDonald, took me on the road. That was the first time I ever got paid. And the second time I ever got paid, someone had introduced me to this guy, Mike Clark, who was Lenny Clark's brother. Okay. So I got to open for Lenny Clark the second time I ever got paid It was insane.
That is insane.
Because he had already done HBO, and Lenny, was super sweet to me. He said I'm really funny. He gave me a bunch of advice. And then his brother started using me. So his brother would use me to open in these like weird little bar shows all over like the New Hampshire area, Connecticut. He had like gigs everywhere, and you would go and do these fucking crazy bar shows. So I learned how to do stand up. Mostly from going on the road, mostly doing bar shows.
Right.
So like a year in, I was just traveling, doing a half an hour.
That's how people
these
are
bar
doing
shows.
stand-up outside of New York.
Yeah.
Didn't you say you don't like performing in Connecticut?
Connecticut sucks.
Do you know
It's a terrible
I did?
state.
You know I did like a charity show there, and I got taken off stage.
Ah! They pulled you off stage?
Yeah.
For what?
So.
I heard about this. That was
yeah,
Connecticut.
That was Connecticut.
Okay, so what happened?
So it was like 500 people there. There's, I guess they were making, it was for kids that were like, less fortunate, I guess, giving them food or, opportunities or whatever. And I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. So the girl before me is doing really well. She did a joke about pedophiles. I get on stage and I was like, oh, I wasn't going to do my joke about that. But I was like, oh, these people love that joke that she did. And this is allegedly. So I don't know exactly why, but allegedly this is why I think I was taken off stage. So I'm going up. I'm doing well. I'm getting like applause breaks. So I'm like, oh, I could definitely do this joke. And the joke is about how I want to be rich, but not too rich. I want to stop right before it's okay to fuck kids. And these are very rich people, and I didn't think they were that rich. And one of the punchlines is like about comparing like poor pedophiles to rich pedophiles and how like a poor pedophile is like a guy that works at UPS that fucks a kid and it's sad, but like how rich people fuck kids and it's like a party. They're on a boat high-fiving each other. And I did that joke and I lost a lot of the audience. And I was like, okay. And then I did a couple more jokes and it was like definitely different in the room. And then somebody came on stage and got me off, and I was like, what's weird is like everyone's like, aren't you mad? I'm like, no, this is not my first charity show I've gotten taken off stage. Like I shouldn't do these shows. And whenever people ask me, I'm like, I don't think I'm right for this.
How many minutes were you in before you told that?
15.
So you're killing for 15 minutes?
Yeah. And I think I can definitely do this joke because this girl, now her joke wasn't as specific, but what I was told later is like allegedly there's a guy in the community who was a rich pedophile with a boat that was fucking kids in the community. And I was like, and I'm like, why would I know that? And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, damn it. If you didn't do that joke, you would have
If I didn't do that joke, I would have been fine because they liked me. They really did like me.
Oh my God, you were making fun of them and you're being mean to them.
I didn't think they were rich enough. I didn't think they were fuck kids rich. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it was probably just one guy.
yes. Well, okay, but maybe. I don't know.
But the pedophile, or the rich people pedophile ring is one of the scariest conspiracies.
I mean, so I get off stage. I'm fine because I think I would have been more upset if I didn't get taken off stage at another charity show. And everyone, the other comic, Corey Rodriguez, was like fucking pissed. He was like, aren't you mad? I'm like, hey, listen, if they want me off stage, I'll get off stage. I've already gotten paid. I get that my comedy's not for everybody, and I know that. Maybe as an earlier comic, it would have hurt my feelings, but I'm like, I get that. So he goes on stage, and he's like, he's upset about what happened. And there are people in the audience that are also upset. It was like I split the room, which is what I do a lot. And then he was like, well, Adrienne's still here, so if you enjoyed her, like, let her know. And then people were standing and clapping. So it was like people that I had those people, and then people who were clapping when I got taken off. Oh. So I was like, yeah, I'm just not doing any more charity shows.
Yeah, well, you don't have to at this point.
No, and I just don't think I'm right for it. But I always ask these people, too, because the guy that booked it, Eddie Brill, who...
I know Eddie.
Yeah, he's a great
Boston guy, too.
Yes, and he was at when I opened for Louis at Madison Square Garden, he was there and saw it. And he was like, I said to him, I go, do you think I'm right for this gig? And he was like, yeah, if they can't take a joke, fuck them. And I'm like, are you sure? But because he had seen a lot of the jokes that I did.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I think you'll be fine.
You would have been fine.
I would have if I didn't do that one joke. But I didn't. How would I know that?
How would you know?
There's no way to know.
The joke was fine if it wasn't for that one neighborhood where that actually happened. How the fuck could you know that?
I mean, I've made a mistake of doing a school shooting joke too close to somewhere, so then I would start looking that up. Has there been a school shooting in this area? I was like, I guess that's a new thing to look up.
Jesus.
There's no way to know that.
Yeah, how could you know that? That's a great story, though.
Yeah.
Sounds like they were okay.
They
until it
were
hit home.
okay. And there were a lot of people in the audience that were still okay. And they were like, we laughed. We thought it was funny. And they're like, fuck them.
Yeah, they probably didn't know anybody who knew somebody who had a kid that got fucked.
I think they were just like, hey, I was like, well, that seems like a you problem.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't get mad at me.
Not only that, I'm sorry the joke was accurate.
Yeah,
That's what's crazy.
that is what's crazy.
Yeah, anywhere else, you do that joke in Montana, people are laughing their ass off. You do it
I
there.
mean,
in
yeah.
That, yeah.
So they were like, no, that's not why you got taken off stage. They're saying that I got taken off stage for an adoption joke.
What was the adoption joke? You don't have to tell it.
I don't know, but there was a lady who had also adopted a kid, and they thought she was interacting with me. They thought that she was angry, and she wasn't. Like, when I was talking to her after, she was like, I wasn't upset.
Oh, so it was an excuse.
I don't know. They're just
Who
saying
knows?
that, yeah. I don't know. So
Fuck
allegedly that's what happened, and they're just like, that's not what happened. I'm like, all right.
One of my best friends lives in Connecticut.
So does one of mine.
I love him, but Connecticut can suck it.
It's weird because, like, I've gone there and done shows opening for Louis, and they've been great. Like, there are people there that are
yeah.
fun, but then there's also the other people that are like, don't get comedy at all.
This is the problem with Connecticut. It's not a real state. It's a highway between Boston and New York.
Sure.
And the problem is there's no hope there. Like, nobody, like, hopes they move to Hartford.
I mean, there are people
know
that
what I'm
hope they
saying?
move to Greenwich, though.
Yeah, so you could be with all those boat riding pedophile type people.
Maybe.
Well, there's a lot of rich folks that live in those havens, right, where everything's like tucked away and grand manors and huge houses and
Yes.
Great Gatsby type shit. There's a lot of those folks, but I
Sure.
don't, they're just like people that have a house on an island. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
are you really from Hawaii, or do you have a fucking house in Maui? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they've kind of incorporated into the area.
Yeah, if Connecticut, like, ceased to exist, nobody would care.
It's just a weird place because, I mean, I've met a lot of fun people from Connecticut, but the place itself has a low vibration. It's like there's not a lot of hope and exciting things. It's not like going to Manhattan. It's not like going to Boston. It's not like going to L.A. It's not like even like Austin, which is only 1 million people. It's not like Dallas where it's fun. It's fucking gloomy. There's something gloomy. They have amazing pizza in New Haven, though.
Oh, yeah. I know that pizzeria.
Shit. There are a lot of pizzerias in New Haven. That
I
have
like
amazing
going
pizza.
to Connecticut because I do like how it is a slower pace. Like, I've lived in New York City my whole life. I, like, hate it. If I wasn't doing stand-up, I wouldn't live there.
That's where Lyme disease came from.
The Bronx or
Connecticut.
That sounds about right. That's their contribution.
Yeah, they gave everybody Lyme disease. I don't know if that's true. Isn't it like Lyme, Connecticut? Is that where it was originally? Isn't that something like that? There's a CIA conspiracy about the Lyme disease.
What is the CIA saying?
No. I mean, not real, not like the CIA saying it, but
okay.
like the kooks. And I don't even know if they're kooks. That it was a bioweapon that accidentally got released. That these infected ticks were part of a lab program.
I don't know, maybe. Was it like COVID? Just made in a lab?
Oh, but they definitely do things like that in some countries.
Sure.
Somewhere they definitely make bioweapons, but whether or not Lyme disease is one of them. But goddamn, that's a terrible one to get. I know a lot of people that got Lyme disease.
But you don't die from it, right?
You get fucked up if you don't get it treated quickly.
Like, is it like physically debilitating?
Oh, debilitating. Depending upon the severity, obviously. But I know people that have had horrible joint pain, neck pain, spinal pain.
That sucks.
They're just in agony all the time. Yeah, and then people have just lost all their like energy. They just feel depleted.
That sucks.
And a lot of times they don't even recognize it in people, because if you don't get it treated, if you don't get it diagnosed while you still have, like, there's like a bullseye ring around the tick bite when it initially becomes infected.
Okay.
And if they don't catch that, if they don't find that, then they don't know it's Lyme disease, so they don't start treating you with antibiotics. They might think, seems fine, your vitals check fine, and then it
okay.
progresses worse and worse. And my friend's son was 5 years old, and he developed Bell's palsy. So his face
that
went
sucks.
numb, and then finally they realized it was a tick bite. And finally they realized he had Lyme disease, so they gave him antibiotics, and he recovered. My friend was fucked up for at least a year. He had lost a shit ton of weight. He got real skinny. I mean, it really wrecked him. Lyme disease is rough.
That sucks.
And it's everywhere. There's so many ticks that have Lyme. It's all over the place on the East Coast.
I feel like that's not something in the Bronx.
I don't know if it's in the Bronx.
There's not a lot of grass in the Bronx.
No, but if there's deer, there's ticks.
Yeah.
Anywhere there's deer. If you see deer and a lot of other animals, there's ticks. Any place where there's ticks, you might have Lyme.
If there's deer in the Bronx, they're lost. There's a story about a deer that was like in Locust Point, and they were like, this does not belong here.
Yeah, they fucked up.
Yeah. That sucks, though.
You guys have coyotes, though.
You mean people?
No, actually coyotes in the Bronx.
Where?
They've photographed coyotes in the Bronx.
Where? Like Van Cortlandt Park or something?
In abandoned houses and shit.
Oh.
It's crazy.
I wonder where they're coming from.
They're all over the world now, or all over the country, rather. They're in every single state.
I have never seen a coyote in the Bronx.
Coyote spotted in the Bronx. Look at that.
Where in the Bronx? Oh, Riverdale's
that.
not really the Bronx, though.
Right there.
Yeah, but that's Riverdale.
What's Riverdale?
It's like Bronx Light. That's what people call it.
Well,
it's
guess
like,
what? Just because you saw him there, he's on a street. He doesn't know he's in Bronx Light.
He doesn't know
He thinks
that.
he's in the Bronx.
But he's not.
He's looking
He's
for
in Bronx Light.
some place where someone threw out pizza. Okay.
We're aware of
Over the
coyotes.
last several decades, coyotes have been expanding their natural range in response to ample food and open habitat, the Parks Department said in a statement. Coyotes are living within the city limits. We're aware of coyotes living in the Bronx, Queens, and Manhattan.
Fuck.
Yeah. How about that?
I might have to kill a coyote.
If you kill them, they just make more babies.
Well,
That's why they're here. That's literally why they're here. When you kill coyotes, the female coyotes know that one of them's missing, so they make more pups.
I mean, you don't think you think they know this one's in the Bronx by itself?
I don't think it's by itself.
You think it's with other people?
100%.
With other coyotes?
100%. They're pack animals.
They're also cute, too.
They're adorable. Till they're jumping over a fence with your chicken in their mouth.
Fuck. If I had to, I would kill it to
Oh,
save
yeah.
my dog.
For sure you would. You would have to.
But it is really cute. It looks like a dog.
Well, if you live here, you can carry a gun. The coyote runs up on you, blast them. The coyotes out here, they don't even yell.
I went to a gun range, and I was like, oh, I love this. I would love a gun. But I think I couldn't have it in the Bronx.
No, it's not legal, unfortunately.
That's not why. I think I would just, anytime someone did
You
something,
would
I would
shoot
just,
people?
yeah. I have very bad road rage. I think it's just
Do you?
from living in New York City my whole life and driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good.
Maybe you should move to Connecticut.
No fucking way.
Have a nice rural life.
I have to be rich
Mm.
to live there.
Would you live in one of those houses, one of them Great Gatsby houses?
I don't want a big house like that.
Those houses are crazy.
Yeah, I don't need something extravagant like that.
Show me some of them crazy. What is it? What's that one town?
Well, it's the Gilded Age, but
What is
I
that
don't know
one
I want to
town?
live in I want to live in Westchester. It's
Westchester's
still pretty
nice.
close to Manhattan.
That's nice.
Yeah, I don't
Look at
know.
some of these
That's like an
fucking houses.
estate.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Succession type shit.
Yeah, that's
Look at that
insane.
house.
Where
that is
is that?
insane. That's Connecticut.
Those people are fucking.
These people are
kids on
wild.
boats. Yeah, that's insane.
That's
Who the fuck wants
wild
that?
money. Look at that one in Eureka, California. Holy fuck.
cool, though.
Where's Eureka?
I
don't know
feel
where-
like it's in Orange County. but
That's
it
where they
could be
found
anywhere.
gold, I guarantee you. Eureka!
Yeah, it's in New York.
Westbury. Wow, look at that beautiful house.
But that's
200 acres.
Who wants that?
Me.
Yeah, I don't. I've lived in like
I want a helicopter
one.
landing pad.
That's actually cool.
I
I
want to
would
see the
like
ones in
that.
Connecticut, though. Can you see like mansions? There's like one area of Connecticut where my friend that I was talking about earlier, he actually works at a school there. He lives in Connecticut, and he said like all these people are billionaires. They all have like these preposterous houses.
I mean, that's so much of a house to keep up with.
It definitely is.
I guess you're rich though, so you're not keeping up with it.
There's not like a
Someone else is.
website that details them because they're like pretty famous for being extravagant, and they're also everyone's keeping up with the Joneses. So there's like the guy who's the CEO of biotech down the road. He's got a bigger house. We're gonna expand our pool, and so they're all going ham. You got to do something with that hedge fund money.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if I'd do that.
What would you do?
I don't know. Am I still doing comedy?
Yeah, you're not gonna stop doing comedy.
I don't know. I would like. I honestly love animals. I would love to have like a sanctuary for like animals.
Yeah.
Not all animals, obviously.
I should have brought Marshall. I didn't know.
You should have brought Marshall.
Didn't know you're such a animal lover. You'd want to steal him.
I know he's really cute. Are you
the
saying
best.
that? Aren't you guys gonna bring your dogs to go play?
Oh yeah, me and him. Yeah, His dog Bandit, she's awesome. Or he's awesome. He calls it a girl sometimes, but I think it's a boy.
No, I think it's a girl.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it's a
He
girl.
calls it a boy sometimes too, though. You know.
Yeah,
Calls
it's a
him
girl
he.
though.
He makes out with it.
Yeah, he's making out with my dog. I took
Yeah.
my dog here also.
Yeah, that is weird. I don't even. He could die. Like people have
Ari
died.
would be
from-
okay with that. I
from
think
that?
Ari feels like he lives his life to the fullest, and if he died at any point, he'd be like, okay.
I bet he'd be shitting his pants the last few hours.
Like if he was on that submarine.
Yeah.
Those people finally died, I think.
Well, we're not going to know. What they said is that if they made it all the way to the bottom, unfortunately, the bottom is just mud, just undulating mud, and they might have just sunk right into it. It's horrific. When you hear that they've had moments in the past where they lost contact for hours with other subs, and they're still doing it the same way. Like that whole thing is so insane. That sub can't pilot itself. There's no line attached to it. It just goes down. It's a remote control that's controlling it. The boat has to be above it for it to work.
What's interesting to me is, like, these people went down there to go see the Titanic. If you told me I could watch that on TV, I still wouldn't want to watch it. Like, I can't imagine doing that.
Brian Simpson pointed this out yesterday. This is what's even more insane. They're not even seeing it through, like, a big window.
Oh, right. You were saying that.
They're seeing it through screens. There's cameras on the outside of it, and as they pilot it around, they're seeing it on screens. There's like one small window.
What is the point?
People like to do dangerous shit to say they did dangerous shit. They want to experience things. They want to go to the bottom of the ocean and see the Titanic.
I know, but like there's a billionaire, but who are the other people that were with him?
Well, one of them was one of the guy's son. He was
Right.
a 19-year-old son.
Yeah.
Fucking Jesus
That's
Christ.
crazy.
Jesus Christ. It's so scary. What a scary way to die.
I know, and it's like, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, you chose to do that. And not only that, there was a small window of time where they could do it because the weather was really bad.
Oh.
Fuck.
But didn't they also make it themselves?
No, this company has sent, I think, was it 100 voyages? They've done 100 voyages.
No, but I'm saying the actual submarine. Didn't they like make this?
Yes.
Weren't people saying they got it like stuff at Home Depot?
Well, there's a company that built it, and the company, apparently, there was a whistleblower who had complained that the hull was not really established to be able to tolerate the amount of pressure that they were putting it under by several thousand feet. A remote-operated vehicle found 5 major pieces of debris from the submersible about 16,000 feet from the bow of the Titanic. The Coast Guard said, "Oh, they're dead." The debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber, Coast Guard Rear Admiral John Mauger said. He said it's not yet clear when the implosion took place. The family of those on board were immediately notified about the discovery. We're now believing that our CEO, Stockton Rush, Shazda Dawood, and his son, Suleiman Dawood, Hamish Harding, and Paul Henry Nargalot have sadly been lost, the Titan sub-operator Ocean Gate said in a statement. These men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans. Our hearts are with those 5 souls and every member of their families during this tragic time. We grieve the loss of life and the joy they brought to everyone they knew. Fuck. It says they're unclear now if the victims can be recovered. Yeah, I don't think people even understand the scope of what you're searching for, like the amount of area you're talking about.
Yeah, and then I wonder if you also put more people in danger if you go looking for them.
Yeah, you do. I mean, if that whistleblower was correct and it imploded because it wasn't really set up to tolerate the depths that they were putting it under, I mean, that is insane. That's insane. And it's so scary. So scary that people would do that. So scary that, like, they fired the guy who was the whistleblower. And apparently there was a bunch of other people that complained as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it was a serious thing. What was pull up that article again that we looked at. It was, it's not like everyone was like, we all agree this is safe. There was quite a few people that were like, this is not safe. This is not the way to do it. And they had said that they were cleared by one certain body of some group that was examining them, but they hadn't been cleared by them.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody proposed that to you, wouldn't you be like, absolutely not?
Fuck that. Fuck that. A whistleblower raised safety concerns about OceanGate submersible in 2018. Then he was fired. Original carbon fiber hull wasn't rated for Titanic depths, claimed the operations director.
It is interesting to go look for the Titanic, and then you also have the same fate as the people on the Titanic.
The worst fate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you actually knew what you were doing. You're actually going to the bottom in a submarine. They were on something they thought was going to float. They were going to like drink
That's
tea
true.
and like look out at the icebergs and shit.
Well, also a lot of the rich people, I think, made it off on the Titanic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently, the company had plans to make 3D scans of it, which that's the first time I've heard of that. I don't know if that's what they were doing there, but that's what the company's goal was at some point.
Make 3D scans of the Titanic?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So they could recreate it somewhere?
The
exact.
In VR or computer.
Oh, wow. Fuck.
But what is honestly the purpose of doing that?
People have to do things. They'll have to do difficult shit.
I know, but it's like, do something else.
I know, but you can't tell people that.
That's true.
Like, you can't tell people, hey, stop climbing Everest. Stop.
That's true. But at least you're doing that by yourself. You kind of know the risk. I don't know. I mean, this also seems crazy. If somebody's like, would you want to do this? I'd say no.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
of course. But, what makes people skydive? What makes people ride bulls?
Thrill seekers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would, if I was into doing those things, I know right away I'm going to probably, I know exactly what could happen, but something like that where someone's like, hey, this is totally safe. We're all going to be together. I don't know.
You fuck that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not totally safe. There's no way it's totally safe. Hey, Jamie, have you seen that bowl that they call God Mode? Somebody sent me this video of, there's this bowl that they paid $25 million for. Because it's so insane when they try to ride it. When you see what this bull does to the guy who's riding, I didn't know a bull could do that. I didn't know a bull could move that way. Look at this bull. The bull's name is God Mode. Watch how high the bull gets in the air. It's insane.
But you have to know if you do this, you might die.
100%. But look at this guy trying to hang on to this bull. Look at the height this bull's reaching. I mean, that bull's flying.
That's crazy.
Look at that bull fly. I mean, that's the Michael Jordan of bulls.
Yeah.
Look at the height it's getting. I mean, that thing's 6 feet in the air, 7 feet in the air.
He's cute.
It's adorable.
It looks like he's going back. He's
See
just jumping.
a video, not this, but there's 20 girls standing in a bull ring, and they just let a bull go.
Yes.
Oh my-
And they're all like, a couple of them got jacked. It was
Yeah,
like,
of
I don't know
course.
they
What
were
is
even
wrong with
thinking
these?
was
I
gonna
don't even
happen.
take the subway in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Why would I ever do anything like this?
This bull is still jumping, and no one's on him anymore.
What are you gonna do?
You ain't doing shit. You ain't doing shit. But just the fact that the bull keeps jumping like that, even after no one's on him, like, get the fuck off me.
That's why he's God
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah. But people want to ride that thing. There's someone out there going, fuck it, I'm going to ride God Mode.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Not you, huh?
No. Why would I do that?
There's a song by Zach Bryan. It's a great song called Open the Gates. And it's about a guy who died riding a bull, and his son goes and rides the same bull and dies.
I mean,
I
it's like what do you think's gonna happen?
It's a great song.
The song sounds great, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, what is going to happen?
I'm already.
Yeah.
This sounds like some TikTok stuff. Even though we saw it go crazy, but I can't find anything else online that says that a bull was sold for $25 million named God Mode.
Well, that could be hardcore
Yeah.
shit. But whatever that bull can do is like, Jesus Christ. Those guys, that's a rough life. That's a rough life, bull riding.
That is, for me, below getting sex trafficked. I'm like, send me in a container somewhere. I don't trust this bull.
Just it's so weird what people choose to do with their life.
Yeah, I mean, I guess too, if you're a real thrill seeker and you keep doing bigger and bigger things, it must be the same way like you get endorphins from it. I don't know.
100%. Yeah, 100%. There's also like the culture of it, I guess. Like, who's the biggest risk taker?
Yeah, I guess. Right.
You know?
Kind of like.
Bobby's gonna do it. He's fucking crazy. That's right, boys.
Right, but that guy might even be scared. And he's like, I gotta fucking do this now, because everyone is like,
Come on.
It's fake.
Well, not fake, because obviously we saw the video, but the most expensive bull sold is $1.5 million
Aha.
in 2020.
that one doesn't look like.
But
it
is
could
that a
jump at
breeding
all.
bull or is that a riding bull?
Even still, I would say a riding bull would be less valuable than a breeding bull, wouldn't it? Because
I
you're just
don't-
riding it for a couple weeks, and then you have to sell so many tickets to get the money back.
Well, I would imagine that riding bulls don't get hurt very often.
They only work 6 seconds at a time.
Right, but I bet they can do that anytime they want.
So wait,
Like if you just give them a couple days off, I bet the
Like-
riding bulls get right back after it. I
he's
don't
like,
think.
I'm good.
That's
Yeah, I don't think the riding
put me
bull's
back
worried about
in.
that little puny person riding its back.
Why is it worth $25 million?
Because it's so preposterous that everybody's going to want to see God mode, and everyone's going to see God mode's children. That's what they do with those things. I know, but that's what they do with those things. Those riding bulls, when they're really dangerous, they breed them. They breed the just like they do with dogs. They breed the most dangerous ones with the most dangerous ones. It makes them the most wildest, bucking, insane, psycho bull. Because that's what everybody wants to see you ride.
I just don't think they're worth that much.
Oh, I believe you. Yeah, I'm sure it's some
But
TikTok
this is a
shit.
dumb question. How do you determine which bulls are gonna be like riding bulls like that, and which ones are just gonna be like beef bulls?
It's a good question. I wonder if it's a specific type of bull.
Does he just act crazy at birth, and they're like, "That's the one"?
Right.
Like, how do you know?
We made people ride bulls on Fear Factor. And it was one of 2 times in the history of the show where I was trying to tell the producers, don't do it.
Yeah, it sounds like a bad idea.
I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. And they're like, they said it's a stunt bull. That's what the fucking stunt guys get saying. He's a stunt bull. I go, that bull does not know he's a stunt bull.
no.
That's a fucking bull.
They're like, hey, tone it down for this.
And the bull's trying to get out of the cage before the people got on it. And I was like, no way. Don't do it. Because
Yeah.
you could get stomped. You 100% could get kicked in the face. And it'll change your life. Don't do that.
Wouldn't that also be a huge lawsuit for a Fear Factor?
100%.
And they just don't care.
They rolled the dice. They rolled the dice.
I guess.
Yeah. That's what they did. The other time I told them not to do it, the people had to drink cum.
But at least that you're not going to die from. I mean, it's gross. You're going to die. You can't die from too much cum, can you?
I don't know.
I mean, you could definitely die if a bull steps on you, though.
Yes. Yeah, you wouldn't die.
Did they do that episode of drinking cum?
They did.
How much cum?
A lot. Like a
Like-
beer stein
like
full
this
of cum.
much?
More.
Like that?
Donkey cum.
So someone's just jerking these
You
donkeys
know why
off?
donkey cum?
Why?
Because donkeys don't breed. Because donkey cum's not it's not good for anything. Because donkeys are a hybrid of a mule and a horse. So this is people that drink donkey piss and donkey
Jeez,
cum.
I'm going to throw up right now
That's
just
what I'm
looking
saying.
at that. That's crazy. Did these people have to keep it down?
Yeah. No, they throw it up eventually. After they swallowed it, then they were allowed to throw up.
So somebody for this show had to jerk off donkeys.
They actually stick a cattle prod up their asshole and they shoot like a fire hose.
Ah, well, at least someone doesn't have to jerk them off. That would be a shitty job.
Yeah, they do something where they stick it up his asshole and just yikes. Yeah.
Ugh,
I know.
That's gross.
It's
it
gross.
didn't. I gotta be honest though. Was it mixed with water? It seemed
No,
very
it was
liquidy.
thick. It was thick.
It seemed liquidy. I thought it'd be more like a milkshake consistency.
Yeah, then these guys are chucking. So someone got a hold of the footage, like TMZ or something like that, and then NBC pulled the episode from America, but they didn't pull it overseas. So like I think it aired in Holland or somewhere like that. So find out where it aired.
On the Fear Factor YouTube channel, that's where it is.
Oh yeah, you can definitely
But-
get it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But
where-
so that was a kill the show. Then they're like, that's a wrap. So they
That was the
canceled
end of the
episode.
show?
Yeah. They canceled that episode. They never aired that episode, and then they canceled the show.
It's so crazy over donkey cum. Isn't that nuts?
It was awesome. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Oh, gross.
Perfect way to end.
Yeah, and nobody saw it except in Holland.
A lot of people saw it on YouTube, though.
I didn't even
We've
know
talked
it
about it a
existed.
gang of times.
Oh, okay.
So more people ever saw it than they would have seen it if it was on TV, for
Is
sure.
it- I don't know. Is it worse to be the person that like drank all that cum and then it didn't air?
No, it's probably better. But it did air.
But didn't you say it aired only in Holland?
Yeah, but it airs on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
That's-
trying to find out. It's just
drinking
like-
cum on YouTube you're going to get some hits. You're going to get some views.
Imagine going on a job interview and they're like, "Did you drink That donkey cum?
Were you one of the twins? Because it was twins. There
And you're
was
like, no, that's
3
my
sets of
sister.
twins.
My sister did it.
So one had to drink piss, the other one had to drink cum.
What would you drink?
Piss.
Cum is chunky.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's
A lot of
gross.
protein. I would
Yeah.
imagine it would affect your just everything in there. Piss is just dirty water. If you're drinking water, you're drinking dinosaur piss.
I love it.
Do you know that? Like all water on Earth at
Is a
one
little-
point in time, if you just think statistically, the hundreds of millions of years that dinosaurs were around, all that water at some point in time was filtered out of a dinosaur's dick.
That sounds insane and not true.
I think it's true.
I don't think that's true.
Let's see.
I don't know.
Okay.
Thing.
All water. How would you Google that?
Is your work computer just have the worst stuff on it?
It's a separate browser I definitely use.
Yeah, well, how would you phrase that? Every glass of water you drink originally was in dinosaur urine.
Dinosaurs drink the same water as us.
Or originally was dinosaur urine. I want it to be urine. I want it to be real specific. All the water you drink came from dinosaur urine. Just be ridiculous.
Well, the way I asked it, or here, someone did ask the question you're asking, right? You are drinking dinosaur pee every day. Here's why.
Ooh.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you are drinking dinosaur pee every day. Here's why. From Tech Times. The average American drinks 4 cups of water every day, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This is far short of the recommended 8 glasses, blah, blah, blah. Whether it's tap, filtered, bottled, sparkling, or sourced from the Himalayan glaciers and sparkled with gold dust, you are actually drinking the liquid waste of an ancient beast, says a science-centric YouTube channel, Curious Minds. A video explaining this theory says that every small percentage of all the water in the world is available for drinking purposes, but it's still a huge amount of water to provide for the needs of every human being that's ever walked on the surface of the earth for the last 200,000 years. Every year, around 121,000 cubic miles of water, about the equivalent of 42 Lake Superiors, falls down on Earth, constantly flows through the rivers, lakes, ground, reservoirs, and everywhere else it passes through, including inside the guts of people and the animals that drink it. So, what do dinosaurs have to do with all this? Unlike humans, who have been on Earth for a tiny fraction of the 186 million years that dinosaurs ruled the planet, the beasts were here far longer than we have ever been. In that long span of time, it's very likely that the dinosaurs have drunk all the water available back then. And then all the water available now is simply water that has passed through a dinosaur's kidneys, making its way through the never-ending water cycle.
That's crazy that dinosaurs were around for 186 million years.
Yeah.
If you told me they were around for 100 years, I would have believed it. I know nothing about dinosaurs.
Yeah, they were around forever. If it wasn't for that rock, they'd still be around.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And now we get to drink their piss.
That's what's interesting about life on other planets. Like, if something like the dinosaurs does exist, it takes something like the Yucatan impact to kill them. And then the little scrambly little rodents and shit eventually evolve to become humans. But if that doesn't happen, forever and ever and ever, it's just dinosaurs fucking things up. And no one ever builds a house. No one ever gets a Tesla.
Just pissing.
Yeah, every time you go outside, raptors tear you apart. You live in like tiny caves, and they try to find you in there, and they drag your kids out. Yeah, they send a little raptor in there, and they grab your kid by the feet. You crawl into little tunnels and holes as they nip at you and try to claw away at the rocks to get to you. You never develop tools.
Yeah.
You never develop anything. You barely stay alive. You probably go extinct.
Somehow that submarine thing sounds less worse than that.
Yeah,
Being
probably.
torn apart by a raptor.
If you lived in that era, I think everything ate everything.
Probably.
And the only way you didn't get eaten if you were like a stegosaurus, where you're just covered in armor, just to keep things from eating you. I mean, imagine like what kind of fucking hard life you have to be living in to develop the kind of skin a stegosaurus has. Just armor everywhere you are. Like a triceratops, everywhere you're armor. Just to keep you from getting consumed.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm drinking.
that's the bright side of the impact.
I'm drinking dinosaur piss.
Yeah, we're drinking dinosaur piss, and that's the bright side of apocalypse caused by an asteroid impact.
It's not that bad. It's pretty good.
It's way better than dinosaurs still being around.
And it's way better than donkey cum.
Yes. Yeah.
Not that I know, but I assume this is better.
My coffee is dinosaur piss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mixed with other crap.
No, just coffee.
You don't put anything in it, like no milk or anything?
No, it's just black.
Black coffee's tough. I like to put something in it so it's not as like sour.
I started getting into it when I became friends with my friend Evan Hafer, who runs Black Rifle Coffee. It's like his company.
Oh, okay.
And there was a guy I had on a podcast a long time ago that was actually a coffee expert. What was that gentleman's name again? Giuliano. No, Giuliano, right? Yeah, Peter Giuliano. Very interesting guy, but he's like a legitimate coffee expert. And I always wanted to. I was like, I like talking to people that just know a lot about one thing.
Sure.
Like it's weird, like how much this guy knows about coffee. And he brought a bunch of different coffees to sample, and there's these Ethiopian coffees that tasted almost like they were lemony. And you're drinking them all black, everything black. Like he's like, real coffee drinkers drink coffee black. And so then my friend Evan, who runs Black Rifle Coffee, he's a real coffee nut. Like he literally goes to these places where they grow it and samples the beans, and like they have different kinds of roasts and blends and amazing stuff. And he drinks everything black. And I just started drinking it black. I think it's an acquired taste.
I've done it before, like drink it black with nothing in it. Like if I'm in a hotel and they don't have anything, but I don't know. If the coffee is good quality, then you can.
Yeah.
For me anyway. But if it's like crappy. Like
yeah, if they
folded or
fuck it
something.
up, if they don't know what they're doing, they fuck
Yeah.
it up. But even if I go to a diner, I just drink black coffee.
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't know. Maybe I'll get there one day.
It's just a thing where like I know it doesn't taste good, but it tastes good to me. Like I
Okay.
like that sort of bitter, warm, liquid taste. I like it.
I like tea with nothing in it.
I do too.
Yeah, but coffee's real bitter.
But tea with honey's better, isn't it?
Yeah. But I don't mind that plain as opposed to coffee is like not great.
Yeah. Well, I try to avoid sugar as much as possible, and I feel like even if I put like Sweet and Low or stevia in something, it makes me want more sweet things
Oh yeah, I get that.
because I like sweet stuff. You know,
Of
so
course.
I just avoid it whenever I can.
Definitely. That's why I try and cut sugar out because I'm like addicted to it.
Everybody is.
I think it's like some people aren't though. It's like people that could have one or two drinks. Like I think certain people like process everything differently. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. But sugar's in so many things. You don't realize how much you
It
love
is.
it and live off of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like some people could have one cupcake. You know what I
Right,
mean? And then
right.
some people are like, I need to chase that sugar.
Yeah. Have you? You said that. Do you have how many people in your? You have many people in your family that have had addictive personalities or addiction issues.
Addiction issues, yeah, for sure.
Drugs and gambling.
Drugs,
and-
gambling, drinking,
Yeah.
food, just like everything.
Yeah.
And also, I think when your life isn't that great, you look for an escape. So,
Absolutely.
you know,
Are you worried that as your life gets greater and greater, that you'll have less things to be upset about?
no, I think I have quite a few things to be upset about. I think I'll never run out of stuff. I asked my therapist if he thought I'd ever be cured, and he laughed at me. He goes, no.
Whoa.
He's like, absolutely not.
Maybe he just wants to keep you there.
Maybe,
Keep
but
making that money.
he's not making that much off of me. I think he would he's like, I think he'd rather me be like in a good place over getting the little bit of money I give him. But he's funny. He's really a funny person. Like, because I did think I had a good childhood. And then, like, I started going to him, and he was like, you had a terrible childhood. Like, I literally said to him, I was like, I thought I had a good childhood because nobody molested me as a kid. And he was like, no. He's like, actually, if somebody did, they would have been showing you attention. He was like, it would have been better. Like, he was
Whoa.
joking, though.
Right.
But I was like, I see what he's saying. Like, yeah, me and my sister were just ignored.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I'll always have stuff to be upset about.
Stand-up comedy is such an interesting thing because everybody came from like a place of lacking, but
Right.
everybody's thing, like everything that got them to that is different. But the result is the same with all. It's all just like, how do I figure out how to get these fucked up ideas into people's heads and elicit a response?
Sure. But a lot of comics, have a lot of mental illness,
Yeah,
fucked up childhoods.
sure.
You're pulling like, I feel like my family was always very funny because we were always struggling like financially and just like with different stuff. Mm-hmm. You just kind of always are funny and joking around. That's what I think.
Wouldn't you rather prefer fucked up people that joke around a lot to like stuffy people in Connecticut?
I mean, it would have been nice if like we had money. Like, I think I would have preferred having like some financial stability.
Yeah.
In terms of just having like laughs.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not now because I do stand up, but like yeah, when you're younger. I mean, I also didn't realize how rich people were too until I went to college and seen like people have lots of money. Like I didn't really realize that as a kid.
Yeah. That's probably good. Like
Maybe.
I think it really fucks people up when they're poor and they're around rich people because it's like right there.
In the Bronx, there's like varying degrees. Like when I was growing up, there was like varying degrees of poor. You know, like so, like some of my friends' parents did have a house, but like you're still in the Bronx. It's not like Connecticut or
Right.
But yeah, I didn't
It's
realize.
just slightly doing better poor.
Yeah, you're doing a little bit better.
But as a comic, like, God damn it. Like, comedy's like the best thing to do. It's so much fun. And that's the superpower. Fucked up childhood is the superpower.
Sure. I see that. But like we also did like things that were like, on vacation we would go visit my aunt who was dying every year. Like that was like a vacation from the rest of our awful life.
Oh God.
Which is a crazy thing to do as a vacation.
Yeah.
So
That sucks.
yeah, but as a kid I didn't realize it sucked. I realize it sucks now.
You didn't realize it until you started doing therapy?
No, I realized it once I got older and realized like we should not be, in a house where someone's dying in the living room. Well, there was like her and then another aunt, but yeah, this is not great. We were going to Crescent, Pennsylvania. That's like the worst.
So is doing stand-up, is that the most joy you've ever experienced?
Sometimes not.
When it doesn't go well?
I don't know. I think that if I had a lot of money, I might just work with animals. Like I really love animals.
Really?
And like, yeah.
You would quit doing stand-up?
I don't think I'd quit doing stand-up. I think I'd always do it. But I do love like helping animals and like even people too, Like I make a lot of dark jokes, but like I think everyone just thinks I'm an awful person. I'm like, well, these are just jokes though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to work with animals, like rehome animals, like take ones in that you can't.
Why don't you partner up with Whitney? Do you know Whitney?
Not really. I mean, like we follow each other on Instagram, but
She's awesome. You would love her.
yeah,
She's
I mean,
so
I follow her
crazy.
account. She had, that one dog that looked like an alien. What was
Yeah.
the dog's name?
I don't
Dragon or something. Violet. I think it's Violet. But yeah, so like I would love to do that. I wish that stand-up would like get to a place where I could be afforded a situation like that to like help animals and
Yeah, she's always fostering dogs. She has a horse. Yeah.
yeah. I would like it if she fostered me.
She would still take you in. She
Take-
took people in during the pandemic. She turned her house into like a flop house.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, she's awesome. She had outdoor shows at her house.
They were
During
doing
the
them
pandemic.
they were doing them in New York too.
Really?
Yeah.
In people's yards and stuff?
Like Central Park, they did some shows. I did shows on roofs. And, like it was just people getting real creative.
When did you get back into an indoor club again? What was the first time? How many months out?
I don't know. I was doing it about 6 months after, like outside, and then I think I waited to get vaccinated to do it inside, like the first vaccine, maybe.
Did
I
you
don't
have to get
remember.
vaccinated? You had to be in those clubs too, right?
Yeah, and I think you had to get. I had to get vaccinated to definitely go to Europe when I went on that tour with Louis. So we definitely need, I think, 3 at that point. But I
You had to
think
you had to have a booster to go over there too.
yeah, you had to have 3, and I think the clubs you might have only needed 2, but I'm not sure.
God.
There were some comics that refused to get vaccinated too.
Yeah.
There was a couple of them. But I was like, I mean, when I took the vaccine, I was like, I'm not 100% confident in this. But I was like, whatever, I do want to work.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I going to do?
Well, a lot of people did that. They made that choice because they wanted to work, and it was
Yeah.
very clear that it was going to stop you from working, especially in some jobs. A lot of people were forced into it. It didn't really work that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you get vaccinated?
No.
I got, which one did I get? Not the Johnson & Johnson. That seemed like the worst one. Whereas like one vaccine, you're like, why is this one vaccine?
Yeah, and it's like 65% protection, but it's all of it was shenanigans. If you really study the actual paperwork on what the studies actually showed versus what they were saying it showed, it didn't stop transmission. It didn't. One person in the fucking vaccine group died of COVID.
I guess my thing is like, so does it work? Like, because we have antibodies now. Like, how does that work?
It works initially. and it like for a lot of vulnerable people, it probably was a good idea to get vaccinated. Old people, fat people, people that were that had various diseases.
Yeah.
The problem is it didn't last for very long. It didn't last for nearly as long as they wanted, and then you'd get your second shot, and that didn't last for. And now, unfortunately, what they're finding is, through this latest study with the Cleveland Clinic, they showed that with their healthcare workers, the more vaccines they got, the more they got COVID.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of weird things that happen with your immune system when
I got very sick from the vaccines.
How bad?
Like I don't remember which one fucked me up the worst, but like there was a time where I was like home for 2-3 days where I was like, oh, I'm really sick. I had fever. I was really sick. And then I got COVID and I was really sick from it. But I feel like I wouldn't get any more. I wouldn't get any more boosters. I know people are like, I'm on 5. I'm like, great. That's good for you.
You know, some people it's fine. Some people, I mean, it's like any other medication. Some people, they take that medication, they don't have any problems with it. And then other people take it and they get wrecked by it. And that's the problem with making something mandatory, where some people are going to get wrecked by it. Like really bad vaccine injuries. Those are real. And we all know about them now. We've all seen people dropped out of heart attacks that shouldn't be. And then there's people that it might have saved their lives. It's like that's an uncomfortable, like, sort of conversation that people that are against it have to have and people that are pro it have to have. Like, you have to look at the actual data of what really did happen. And it's particularly for, like, non-vulnerable people, like children, it was not a good idea.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't understand. Like, say you didn't want to get vaccinated and somebody is vaccinated, then why does that matter? Like, if this person...
Because it didn't... Well...
I mean, also, there's a huge money to be made off the vaccines.
But there was also people wanted you to do what they did. I did the right thing. You should do the right thing. You're selfish. You're not doing it.
I mean, I guess I've heard that, too.
It was like the one time in our lives we weren't allowed to be skeptical about pharmaceutical companies.
Right. We're skeptical over everything else that they produce.
We should be.
Sure.
They have a long history of criminal fines.
Yes.
They've been fined fucking insane amounts of money for lying about drugs that wound up costing people their lives.
What was that? Was it Doped Up?
Dope Sick?
Dope Sick, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I know the whole story about the Sackler family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at something like that and you're like, yeah, we should be questioning
They
everything.
just paid their way out of it. They paid their way out. They paid their way out of it. Like, they gave like $6 billion, and now they can't be prosecuted.
And they probably still have so much money.
Oh God,
that's crazy.
Billions and billions.
Or you can lose
$6
billion and still be a billionaire.
Yeah, easy. Well, they did that with there was another medication that they did, Vioxx, that wound up giving people. It gave a friend of mine a stroke, but it killed 60,000, 50,000 people.
What is that for?
It was an anti-inflammatory medication. It didn't even work well, and they knew it in their internal emails. They said there's going to be problems, but we think we'll do very well with this. So they knew that it was going to cause cardiovascular issues with people. They knew it was going to cause blood issues with people and strokes and shit, and they still released it. And they got fined, but they got fined less than they made. Yeah, so I think they made
that's crazy.
$12 billion, and they got fined like $5 or something silly.
Right,
like
you're
that.
like, I still have the surplus of billions,
something
of
like
dollars.
that. Don't quote me on those numbers, but it's something to the point where, like, I could see you made money on this. You still made money. This is like,
yeah,
and it didn't work. It wasn't a good. It was like there was other available things that worked better. It's just a spooky thing that they can do that. It's spooky, and that people just go along with it.
Well, Johnson & Johnson has that lawsuit against their powder.
Yeah.
Like, because it has, I guess, talc and maybe some other stuff. And women, I guess, are putting it, like, in their private areas, getting cancer. So they have a big lawsuit for that.
Yeah, what is in it that's giving people cancer?
I don't know. Is it just talc? Because I know talc is not great for you.
It's like a mineral, right? What is talc?
I guess. I don't know. But I just know, like, I used to use Johnson & Johnson powder all the time. And I was like, oh, that's like something you would never even think of.
Yeah. What is, What caused people to get cancer from that? The Johnson & Johnson vaccine was the one I was going to take.
That's the one Bridget got, I think.
The UFC had allocated like 150 vaccines for their employees, and we were doing shows during the pandemic. They had this total bubble situation where you got tested. Okay, what does it say? When talcum powder is linked to cancer, it's important to distinguish between talc that contains asbestos and the talc that's asbestos-free. Talc that has asbestos is generally accepted as being able to cause cancer if it's inhaled. What about So we'll just go to that go to the lawsuit, Johnson & Johnson cancer lawsuit, baby powder, because it was something with women. right?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it saying? So there's some sort of J&J lawsuit? Settlement? Okay. Johnson & Johnson said on Tuesday that it had agreed to pay $8.9 billion to tens of thousands of people who claim the company's talcum powder products cause cancer, a proposal that lawyers for the plaintiffs called a significant victory in a legal fight that has lasted more than a decade. Wow.
So are they still using the same talc, though?
That's a good question. Or maybe they're just telling people don't put it on your hoo-ha.
But didn't it say just breathing it in is bad?
The one with asbestos. So I'm trying to figure out why does this have asbestos? The proposed settlement would be paid out over 25 years through a subsidiary which filed bankruptcy to enable the $8.9 billion trust, Johnson & Johnson said in court filings. If a bankruptcy court approves it, the agreement will resolve all current and future claims involving Johnson & Johnson products that contain talc, such as baby powder, the company said. So how is it's ovarian cancer?
Yeah.
Okay, significant victory for the tens of thousands of women suffering from gynecological cancers caused by the J&J's talc-based products. So, but what is in it that's causing cancer?
And mesothelioma. I've seen that on
Ovarian
commercials my whole
cancer
life.
and mesothelioma. You saw it on what?
Like TV commercials my whole life.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you suffer from mesothelioma?
Yeah.
Call this number now.
I wonder if it goes right to Johnson & Johnson.
The one thing I was going to ask, I was reading about the appeal for the Sackler thing.
Mm-hmm.
5 to 6 million they have to give up.
Billion.
I'm sorry. 750 million is paid out to the individuals.
Oh, God.
Where's the other 5 billion
Oh,
going?
God.
What the fuck is that?
Well, it's a fine. It goes to the government.
Okay. That's good.
Listen, we have to deal with our homeless crisis.
No one's going to ever
Trans kids don't have homes.
Is that's an issue right now? Oh, I guess. Yeah,
sure.
Maybe.
I'm sure. They didn't say
Maybe
what
I'll
caused
open up a
the
sanctuary
cancer?
and take
Yeah,
in
they've
all the
been
dogs and all the trans
For the talc, it
kids.
says only 2 billion of that 8.9 goes to the plaintiffs.
So what is it that causes cancer, though? Like, what's it in the talc that's causing cancer?
I guess
there a
asbestos
chemical?
is in it. I guess the asbestos is in it.
How is anybody selling anything with asbestos today?
Well, they probably took it out of paint and were like, let's get rid of it this way.
Oh, imagine if that's what they did.
No, who knows? I mean, I think the government's pretty corrupt.
There's definitely some corrupt people in the government, without a doubt. And there's definitely a bunch of people that run these corporations that try to figure out how to make money with stuff they have laying around.
Sure.
It's a New York Times article. I don't see a date, but this says that they knew about it since for 129 years.
It says Johnson & Johnson
that's not that
feared
long.
baby powder's possible asbestos link for years. So there is asbestos in it? What?
It says in 1971 they recommended to upgrade the quality control.
Oh my God! Look at this. An executive at Johnson & Johnson said the main ingredient in its best-selling baby powder could potentially be contaminated by asbestos, the dangerous mineral that causes cancer. He recommended to senior staff in 1971 that the company upgrade its quality control of talc. 2 years later, another executive raised a red flag, saying the company should no longer assume that its talc mines were asbestos-free. The powder, he said, sometimes contains materials that might be classified as asbestos fiber. The carcinogen, which often appears underground near talc, has been a concern inside the company for decades. In hundreds of pages of memos, executives worried about a potential government ban of talc, the safety of the product, and a public backlash over Johnson's baby powder, a brand built on a reputation for trustworthiness and health. And it had asbestos in it.
That's what it is. They took it out of the paint.
I don't think so. I think they're saying it's in the same mines as the talc.
But they were like, let's just
didn't
keep-
clean it up.
Well, we'll just get it from the same mines.
They're cutting it just like the Mexican cartels cut the coke with the fentanyl.
Yeah.
They're cutting it with talc. Like if you have like a bunch of asbestos and you got a little talc is worth $10 a pound or whatever, just cut it in there.
Yeah, I would be surprised that's not in there.
Yeah.
Isn't fentanyl expensive? Why are they mixing
I don't
stuff
think
with
it's expensive.
fentanyl?
It's very cheap and it's also really potent. So you need a very, very small amount of fentanyl.
Right.
Will fuck you up. But I'm sure it's not consistent. They're not, they're not really good at like
Testing
quality
it.
control.
Yeah.
And also, I think sometimes they leak fentanyl-laced cocaine specifically designed to kill people to target rival gangs. They do it like if one gang is selling coke and they'll sabotage their supply so that they kill their. There's
And
a lot
people
of
will stop buying it from them. Right.
Yeah. Or they use it to target certain people.
Interesting.
We learned a lot today, Adrienne.
I did learn a lot.
I did too.
I learned about dinosaur piss,
Yeah, we're all drinking it.
asbestos.
Mm-hmm. Keep it out of your privates.
That episode of Fear Factor.
Mm-hmm.
With cum.
We learned a lot about your origins of comedy.
My origins of
Learned
comedy.
about your mom.
My mom, yes.
You love dogs.
Love dogs.
I should have brought Marshall.
Yes.
Next time. Next time you do it. We do it
All
again?
right.
We'll do it
Yes.
again. Okay. You gonna be at the club tonight?
Going to be at the club tonight.
Let's fucking
Thank
go.
you for having me.
It was fun.
It was
You were
very
hilarious.
fun. Well, I mean, thank you for letting me film my special there.
My pleasure.
That's
I'm
gonna
excited.
be-
When Louis texted me, I was so pumped.
Because we were talking. He was like, "Where do you think you want to do it?" And he was like, "I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure." And then he was like, "What about like Austin?" I was like, "Well, I love Austin." He's like, "Well, what about Joe's Club?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, it's a set up to film already too.
Yeah, the audiences are great.
Yeah,
Both shows were so fun, and because they were like, "Which room do you want to do?" I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "I got to see which one I like," but I like them both. So
Yeah, they're both different, but really fun. It's the whole setup is. Louis actually helped me quite a bit. He gave me some really good advice when we were in the middle of construction. He told me to make the stage in the small room smaller. It was larger. They just designed
That makes
the stage.
sense, yeah.
Yeah, it was perfect. What he designed was perfect. He said just cut off 4 feet on each side. And I was like, yeah, we don't need it that big. And so it was really fun because you could kind of walk around in this, once we had gutted it, you're going, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that?
Yeah.
And so Louis came in and I just said, what do you think? And he was like, make this lower.
he's like a good director.
Oh,
He knows
the
how to do
best.
all that stuff.
I listened to everything he said.
Yeah.
I took every single piece of advice that he said. Every recommendation I did.
Do you like one room over the other?
I love them both. They're different. The little
Equally?
room is really intimate. The little room is like you're partying. You're having a good time with people. They're right there. They're on top of you. It's
Yeah.
really fun. It's also very honest. Like if you feel performative or clunky, it
Yeah.
it feels gross in that room.
In the little one?
Yeah, in the little room.
I feel like the little room is freer.
Oh yeah, it is. But I mean, if you do come off clunky, it's
Yeah.
more obvious
I
because
could
it's
see
very
that.
intimate. It
That's
feels
true.
fake.
Yeah.
It's just a different room. The other room is pretty intimate too. The way I describe it is like they're both like hybrids of the Comedy Store original room and the belly room.
Yeah.
It's like
I've never performed there. I've
never
only
performed at
visited.
the store?
Yeah.
Really?
I've only gone there to like visit. I've never performed there.
Next time I go, I'll bring you.
All right.
Let's party.
Let's party.
Let's go.
What I do like about the big room is that it is intimate because everyone does seem pretty close to you, even though it's like
Yes.
a pretty big room.
Yeah, it's well designed. We put a lot of thought into it. We raised the floor. We had the stage set at the perfect height, where it's like right at table height. No, not a bad seat in the room. We like meticulously went over it for a long time.
Yeah. I think too, what I think Ari was saying last night is like, when you go to some clubs, sometimes like the owner shows up and it's just like, it changes the vibe.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not here. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's not like you come around, people are like, oh, put that away, or let's stop talking about whatever we're talking about.
Yeah.
That happens in other clubs for sure.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's only a few other clubs that are owned by comics.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking about clubs in maybe Manhattan, you know?
Right. But that's the thing. It's like you're dealing with, there's like the owners tell the managers what to do, the managers tell the comedians what to do.
Right. So they're still bosses.
Yeah.
And even though you are the boss, you're the owner, it's not like that vibe.
No, the vibe is it's for all of us. It's our
Right.
place. Yeah.
It's very welcoming. Like, I don't know most of the comics. Like, I'm getting to know them, but I felt very welcome there.
If you're funny, it's very welcome.
If you're not funny, it's very unwelcoming.
If you're not funny, they're fucking brutal. Yeah. It was just, there's a
Fair
lot
enough.
of competition for stage time. There's a lot
Sure.
of comics. There's a lot of young people.
Yeah, I could see that.
All the staff like are aspiring comedians, like this door staff, and they all auditioned with their actual comedy to get the jobs.
To be the door, like to work at the door?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, and they get stage time. So they get to go up, and they go up to showcase nights. There's open mic nights, 2 nights a week.
That's great. Whereas I was interning
Yeah.
for free.
Yes, you don't
Still
have to do that here.
Still not getting a
But
spot.
then, even more importantly, the Creek in the Cave is right next door. It's right up the street. And then you've got Sunset Room, which is right next door. Sunset, Brian Redband's room, is 3 doors down.
Oh, wow.
And the other day, we did a show, like last Thursday, we did a show at my club, and then guys were going back and forth, and Redband's show was sold out too. And then there's
Oh,
the
that's
Vulcan, which is also just a half a block down. And, they do comedy there too. And then you also have Cap City, which is in the Domain. And you have a bunch of little places like the Velveeta Room.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of spots that are all around town and all kinds of mics.
Do they do shows at Esther's Follies also, right?
Yes. Yeah, they do shows.
There's
there.
a lot of good comedy here.
Yeah.
And the fans are great.
Well, they just love the fact that it's here.
Yeah.
It's like, out of the pandemic, this thing sprung.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is like a weird thing that happened where we're all like, fuck this. We got to get the fuck out of LA.
Yeah.
And I was particularly motivated because my children were at the time 10 and 12. I was like, I don't think I want them growing up in LA. Like, I already dodged that bullet
A lot
with
of
my
people
oldest
say
daughter.
that.
It's just creepy.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much chaos and freaks and it's just, ugh. Like, I got to get out of here. You know, and
Yeah.
then during the pandemic, we had this opportunity to move to Austin, and I was like, I want to do this. And it was a crazy time to do it because I was in the middle of this big Spotify deal, and, you know, the whole world was shut down, and I have everything running smoothly, and I'm like, fuck
Right.
it, let's uproot. We're going to start from scratch. And we came here, and I've never been happier.
That's great.
And then when all the other comics started coming here, too, and I was like, all right, I think this is going to work.
There's a lot of comics here.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That's so crazy that everyone's coming here.
Yeah.
It's like becoming a real hub for comedy.
It's so fun.
It is fun.
Well, that is one of the cool things that you can do with money. You know, if you have money and there's something you really love, like I love stand-up, you can actually do something like that. You can
Yeah.
actually make something happen and make it good for a lot of people. It's not just
Sure.
good for me. It's good for so many comics.
Yeah.
It's good for the audiences. It's good for the people that work there. It's fun.
I mean, it helps the economy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, the whole area is packed now.
Yep. It's awesome.
All right, Adrienne, we'll see you tonight. I'm
Yes.
excited.
Thank you for having
I'm excited.
me.
And you got a tour coming up.
Yeah. Come see me on tour.
What's your website?
AdrienneApalucci.com.
Spell that for these people, because
ADR.
there's an I in Iapalucci.
Yeah. Iapalucci's IAPALUCCI.
All right, go see her, folks. She's very funny. I'm really happy to meet you. And
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is
I'm
awesome.
pumped to the shows tonight.
Yes.
Let's go.
Thank you.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.